because Gary's.
Okay, we're live, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Those who are here with us right now, and those who will join us, those who will watch on the replay Friday morning, wherever you are in the world today. All right, pull up a chair, Arsenal Fan Circle, Thursday Night Forum. Gary, how we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I am doing well. Yep. How are you?
Um, I'm a little bit. I'm good. I'm good generally, but Arsenal wise, I'm a little bit worried about why we get so upset as Arsenal fans with a two-legged fixture and we draw, right? So we're hearing some murmurs of, well, we should have won that game. And I don't know what your opinion is on the game right now, Gary. But
Yeah. Well, you know me. I'm always about having the team perform well, and if the results match the performance, then we're usually going to get a win. Today's performance, I don't think was good. Teddy didn't think it was good. I don't think most of the players thought it was good. The fans didn't think it was good, but we'll take a draw. Like if you came
mhm,
into this, you said worst case scenario, you come out with a draw, you'll take it. But in
yeah,
reality, like I don't think we performed well, and I think the excuse will be, well, we rotated the staff, we rotated
players,
the squad,
yeah,
and that's why things didn't look right. And there's some scenarios for that, but I think a lot of it is has nothing to do with the fact that rotated the squad. Uh, so that's for me the performance, and I'm looking at it on an individual basis. I don't think it was, multiple players making mistakes, but that did happen. But I do think individually, the players as a whole, like all 11, I think all had individual mistakes, which had nothing to do with, um, not playing together. There's like, like they couldn't string passes together at some point at a lot of points in this game. Arteta even spoke about it in his interview. He said, we there were a lot of loose balls in the play, and I think that contributes to how the game went. So, yeah, I think we'll take the draw, but I think the performance for me, or the how the how the players performed individually wasn't good.
hmm
You know what I mean? Like team wise, we would expect certain things, but individually, I think there's certain things that don't require you having play with somebody else, pass the ball to the team in red. Can you do that?
usually is a recipe for success if
Yeah.
you pass the ball to the team in red. Okay, so that's Gary's take on it. I'm going to go to Stan with his take on it. But if you ask me, you would be able to incorporate a new player in Jakub Kiwior, and the Premier League being so important, you couldn't really see an opportunity to bring him in unless we're leading 2 or 3-0 at some point. And we get away with a draw in the Europa League round of 16. I'd probably just about take that, right? And I know Gary, do you want to come back on that before I go to Stan, or
Come
uh,
come back on what
like
that
incorporating Kivior into the game tonight? So he plays. Yeah.
the fact that we went out and got him for me means he needed to be incorporated into this squad, or else
Mhm.
why did you bring him? As I've said before, I don't believe there's time for like, well, you know what, in the future he'll be ready to go when there may have been options you could have picked up that would have suited you for at least this time period with what's going on, where your team sits in the table, and what's at stake.
Yeah.
This is no different than Marquinhos, um, you know, uh, transfer. You bring him in, and you don't think he's necessarily ready to play for you 100% of the time. If that's the case, then I don't know why are we doing that in January when we know January is a tough time to bring players in. I mean, a lot of people have said that uh, Ki- Kiwior and Fabio Vieira will be fine next year, and I think Fabio Vieira is probably more likely because of the injuries. But we don't. I don't. I think they try to compare. Well, Kiwior, I think he's not ready to sit behind Saliba and Gabriel. That's for sure. And but I think today the mistake he made, it turned out it wasn't even his mistake.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, I agree.
initially everybody's screaming, "Why are you ducking when the ball's coming?" Turns out his goalkeeper told him, "I got it," or called for it, and made a mistake,
Yeah,
and didn't actually go and get it. So,
yeah,
you know, that's bad. Because I was like, what? Like for me, that ball's sitting there. You just clear it. I'd rather him clear it than not clear it, and there's miscommunication. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Especially the way it ended up, right? Because the goalkeeper didn't come out, and then he ducked. So you've got two negatives there. Whereas if he just tries to put a head on it, just disrupts the ball as it comes in. There's no clean look at that ball, and we probably get away without a goal going in there. And that might be, that's probably one of those. Well, they haven't played together, but when the goalkeeper says, "I got it," and you react to that, then it's on the goalkeeper. It's on an individual
mm,
who made a mistake there. So yeah, I
yeah,
think I think he did. I think in general he did fine for me for his first time out.
yeah, yeah. Let's get the Stan. Stan, your thoughts on the game today and the lineup?
It's a draw. I mean, we can't win every game in the league.
Mhm.
We're not playing with our first 11. They're called backups for a reason. I mean, I don't really know what we can expect. I mean, as for the comparisons of like a Kiwior and a Marquinhos, I would disagree because I think with Marquinhos, he's a young kid who's only ever played in the Brazilian league. He costs like, threepence, whereas Kiwior, I think, is more established, playing in Serie A, playing at the World Cup, costing about 20 million. So he should be a player that should be able to come in and play when needed. No different to what Gabriel Megalegs did. He came in at the deep end because we were short, and he scored on his debut. I mean, he's a defender. Okay, he might have to get used to his teammates, but he's been training with them. He's not a kid that's come straight from the academy, so he should be ready to play. And surely he should be, waiting for his opportunity. And I think Mikel Arteta probably picked him today because he wants to integrate him, and he probably wants him to feel as more as part of the team. I mean, as for that mistake, the way that I saw it, I didn't see a shout from Turner, and if he did shout, then he didn't. His feet were firmly planted on the ground. He didn't shout and then come out and go for a punch.
Yeah,
It looked to me that Kiwior didn't want any of it. It looked to me that he
I-
was like, oh,
There's been
he was.
multiple reports
oh.
that Turner did call him off the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah,
So
Okay.
I'm not saying it because initially, like I said, my thought was he did duck when he should have just cleared the damn ball because
Yeah, but
he was in the right position to do that.
but if he's had the shout, he's probably thinking, I don't want to get punched in the back of the head. If he
yeah,
thinks that
yeah,
Matt Turner's coming. So there seems to be miscommunication. I saw it as Kiwior didn't want anything to do with it. And I didn't see Matt Turner shout. And if he did shout, why isn't he completing the action?
yeah.
He don't shout mine and then just stand there. So
This is.
looks like there was some kind of communication there, a communication error. If
Yeah, this
it's
is the
it's one or
heads.
the other, right? It's one or the other. But I mean, uh, it's this is where we are at the moment. We can't continue to play our first 11 in every single game, and we have
Mhm.
backups that are not of an equal quality as our first picks. And you can see that between the drop off in the goalkeepers. I'll just use the goalkeepers as an example.
Hmm.
Matt Turner, I don't know if it's his natural expression, but he always looks like someone's just gone up behind him and gone boo, and they've caught him off guard. He looks
Yeah,
dazzled. I don't
spooked.
know if that's his normal expression, but he
Yeah,
looks dazzled and like a deer in the headlights. And he's obviously not a player that can, move the ball out with his feet, which is what the manager likes. I don't think that's really his game. Which then goes to the question, then, well, why did we buy a keeper that couldn't do that? If that's what you want your keeper to do, then you buy a keeper that can do that, you know? That's maybe something that we can talk
Yeah.
about a little bit later on in the show. But
Yeah.
overall, just to round off, it's a 2-2 draw. You know, in a competition that we'd like to win, but it's not where our main focus is at the moment.
Yeah, 2-2 draw. I'll get to you, Gary. Matt Turner did look nervous at times, and maybe he's realizing when we get to the latter stages, even of this competition, that
Hang on a minute.
Ramsdale may be used as
Hang
well.
on. What's that, Dennis? Yeah. Dennis said that he didn't hear a shout either from Matt Turner.
That is Bergkamp there. Okay.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, we did clearly hear the shout from Matt Turner, and Kiwior is trying to leverage himself to get into the jumping position, and clearly, as a result of that shout, has stopped that action. Matt Turner has decided not to. A kind of fatal thing to do as a goalkeeper. When you make a decision, no matter how bad your decision is, you need to follow through with it.
Commit.
And you have to commit, and you can't stop and second guess yourself. So Matt Turner has decided to come for the ball and then stay firmly rooted on the goal line. And he was a little, to a lesser extent, probably a fault for the second goal as well. You know, not a lot he could do with the ball to parry it out into the feet of the onrushing attacker. But Gary, what's your thoughts on the last few minutes of discussion?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, my initial thought was that Kiwior should have got it, but he didn't. The second goal, I mean, I guess you're told as a goalkeeper if you're going to punch it out, you don't punch it back into the middle. You try to pick a side and go one way or the other. Pushing it back into the middle, there's multiple things that could happen. You could push it right back into the attacker. You can hit it right off one of your defenders back into the goal, right? There's more likely that to happen than it to go the way you would like. So did he have an opportunity to punch it one way or the other? I don't know, but that's usually what they practice, right? No matter how the ball comes at you, you try to parry it away from the goal out wide. So
and credit to the attacker as well. As the attacker, you're taught to make that shot into the far corner. In the case that if the keeper gets to it, he's going to be pushing it onto rushing traffic.
I mean, we had two defenders between one attacking player, and both hesitated enough to give him the space he needed. And you know, he needed to get squeezed out of there somehow. But you know, I mean, there was probably a lot. You could pick any multiple things as to how that one happened there. But for me, that's defensive breakdown somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
anytime you can see the goal, you're going to look at the things you did wrong to concede that goal. And anytime you score a goal, it kind of gets overlooked. You know, we've had to work hard to overcome our defensive frailties over the last few weeks, and we need to get to a point where we're
bad, right? We've given up 12 goals in 8 matches. That's not a good stat for us based on how we were playing for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so yes, our defense is not as good, but I think there's some variables to that, but we have been playing okay. But the way these goals are being scored, you know, our set piece defense is terrible at this point. We've given up a set piece goal in like three of the last 4 games, I think, and that's for us not good. Which, you know, that's the level we set for ourselves. So we should be disappointed in how we're defending these set pieces, these corners.
Yep. We have to get back to those standards. Let's get through a few comments then before we continue. BX Gunners here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Jakub Boom. Yeah, listen, he took the shot, and when you take shots, things can happen. How's it going, folks? Riddy is here. Stephen, the Arsenal misfit is here. Evening all. Mr. Tom wants to know how Arsenal got on because we know Arsenal is his second team. Not the worst result by any means. Could always be worse. Yeah, and listen, I'll take it in a round of 16 where we talked about this last week. Kiwior, the best possible place to put Kiwior was in a first game in a round of 2 in the last 16.
Yeah, well,
Um,
today, yeah, it's funny you say that because today when I did my little video about my preview of the game, I said, well, if they're going to bring Kiwior in, for me, I think it'd be best if Ramsdale starts behind him, so at least he's not playing with, basically three new players trying to play together in that right in front of that goal,
mhm.
you know, and
And I think we had Ben White there, we had Zinchenko, we had Saliba, and Saliba had an interview where I thought Saliba maybe guided him, Kiwior, through the game pretty well. It turned out it was probably Matt Turner's jitters that maybe transmitted itself to the back four as well. BX,
Not to mention Zinchenko was awful today as well.
yeah. This is
No.
the thing about Zinchenko we're finding out this season. Very good going forward, but defensively, he's going to give you varying degrees of palpitations. BX said we would have lost this match in the past. To rally for the away result was hard fought. We're seeing that with this team. The results we're getting now would have been results that we would have lost, and we would have been in the banter FC status 3-4 years ago with this. Steven said, didn't see the match today live, but watched about 2 hours ago. It wasn't a great match, but the result I can live with. It means going to our place on even terms instead of behind the 8 ball. And there is no away goals rule. So whoever finishes ahead on aggregate, it will be decided. And may go to penalties. I hope it doesn't go to penalties, but
we're,
a lot of
we're,
these
we're
games
playing at home. This should not even be
shouldn't.
close in terms of
Exactly.
going to penalties. That would be one disappointing. I think we're a really good team at home, and right, we've only lost the one time at home. So I would be disappointed if it got to that point where we're looking at penalties.
Definitely agree with you. We're better than this team, but we have to probably pay respect to them in the return leg. BX said, considering we had a B squad out there with new additions in a game like this, I'd say a good result. So let's sort of expand on this a little bit. Kiwior coming in to an established back four, goalkeeper behind them. Maybe Jorginho a little bit jittery as well. Jorginho gave up some chances as well.
Yeah.
So he was in a mixed bag of a situation with Turner behind them and Jorginho. And this is something to build on for Kiwior, I think. Really said our set piece defending is a bit of a concern now. That's 2 games in a row now we've conceded from a corner. BX didn't think he was terrible. So, Stan, in the context of that, this is a debut under Kiwior's belt that he can build on.
Yeah, I don't understand, when you say, for example, with Jorginho in front of him as well. I mean, Jorginho is supposed to be an established football player. That's
But
why
he's
we
not
bought
a
him.
defensive stalwart. Well,
It's just his mobility is not as
Partey
good. Yeah.
is defensively going back. He's like Xhaka going backwards, but he's a little bit better. But
Yeah,
not.
but I don't see how you can twin a performance by Kiwior and twin that to having Jorginho there. And Jorginho should be, I'm saying he's established enough to know his own position, when to go, when not to go. Do you know what I mean? He's not coming through the ranks. This guy's
Yeah.
played in the Champions League at high levels. So if anything, Jorginho should be able to guide Kiwior.
But
He
he's
should,
not. He's
but then
not a
again as
good
well,
defender. He's
but
not a
then
good
again,
defender, though,
but,
Stan.
but then again, though, I'm saying guide Kiwior. Why does he need to guide Kiwior for him? He's not 16 or 17 years old
No,
either. He's
you're right.
23.
Yeah,
He's
you have to
23.
take responsibility for your own performance as well.
Yeah,
And
we talk about these players sometimes because they're new to the team, like they're 19 years old. He's 23 years old. He's played in the World Cup for his country. He surely knows how to defend.
How many times do we say that a player coming into Premier League needs a little time to speed up? We say
I
that
don't.
all the time, and
Some
you hear it,
do. Yeah,
and everybody says it because the speed of the game is a little bit different
it
than
is.
what they.
and
The speed
and
of the
when the
game is
people
faster,
And when
and
people say that, I always say Gabriel Megalegs came in on his first game when he wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to have that settling in time, scored on his debut. What I'm trying to say is that, yeah, ideally,
yeah.
it helps to maybe sit on the bench and see the game. But at the end of the day, they know how to play football.
Well, the other
But you
thing
know what?
as
That's
well,
like making a comparison about Saka, and we can't do that because those are like unicorns. Not everybody comes in immediately and just
and
kicks off. It doesn't
hold
work
on 1
that
second.
way.
Also, I think Stan, a central defender, is the most difficult position probably to come into a team in. You make a mistake as a central defender, and you're going to be punished. I remember Rio Ferdinand. When he came from West Ham to Manchester United, had a couple of really, really bad games. But at the end of Rio Ferdinand's career, he picked up quite a few medals with Manchester United. So yes, the player has to stand up. He's a Polish international, and I think in due course he'll be a good signing for us, albeit cover for Gabriel. And I think the important thing here to not lose sight of is that Gabriel has been rested for majority of the game, so he's ready for Sunday.
See, I'm not. I don't. I'm not looking to chastise individual players, but I'm not going to give them passes either. I just call a spade a spade. It's
Yeah.
like if they've played good, they get a clap. If they've played shit, I say I think they've played shit. That's why I come on here. I can't just come on here and start making excuses for players like they've got to settle. They don't know their way around. You know what I mean? The grass is too long. They don't know all their teammates that yet. I can maybe if they're coming from an academy, but we're talking about adults who've been playing football.
Yeah, but again, we've had Rio Ferdinand, the example of Rio Ferdinand coming from West Ham and not settling very well at Manchester United. You got a different team, a different environment, and there is that settling in period. This is why we've got Trossard, we've got Jorginho.
Then maybe you play Kiwior in a game, something like. Well, what are you going to do then? If you're not going to play him today, should we have played him in a game like Everton?
I think all three of us are happy that he's actually played a game today. I don't think anyone.
Yeah, I don't like it when we hide him away.
No,
as I said, I like rotation right away, and you can tell Arteta's comfort level. If he's comfortable with a player, how fast do they play? ASAP, right?
Well, yeah, it's Zinchenko.
No. When he's comfortable with a player, they play immediately, right? He doesn't
Who are you
have
talking
to wait.
about? Which player?
He doesn't have to wait to get let them get like Trossard and Jorginho. Once he needed to use them, he used them, right?
Yeah.
Other players they wait. They have to take time to come in, right?
We've even wanted Trossard to have more minutes, so I think he was a little bit respectful of Martinelli in that position as well. So we've wanted more minutes for Trossard even. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement, Stan, that Kiwior needed to play, and we saw him now.
And you've got to start him in the next leg as well.
I wouldn't start him in the next leg.
He needs minutes.
I listened to
play him in the league.
on that note, I listened to
So we don't play him in the Europa, right? And then what we're going to do then? Play him in the league? Well, that's too risky. So if we don't play him in the league, that means the players that do play in the league are just playing all of the games. How is he going to get his opportunity? We don't know. As you say, we've only seen one performance. It could have been Matt Turner's fault. Play him in the next leg. Play Ramsey behind him. Let's have another look before we make a judgment and say he's good or shit.
I was listening to Gunnar blog today, and his comment was something to the effect of whatever the comment was, but Sean Dyche, and he said one of the things that Sean Dyche does is if he's going to play a center back, they don't just play one match; they typically play 2 or 3, just because he said, I can't evaluate my center backs if they don't play back-to-back games. And I didn't. You think about it, you're like, that's the only way you're really going to get comfortable with a player to know whether or not they can. One, they have to be able to respond to whatever just happened in the previous game, right? They need to be able to go out there and answer the questions about can they do better going forward. Was it just the first game jitters kind of thing? And and that's part of the rotation. That's why I always say rotation, because we can't just all of a sudden expect them to just turn it on if they've never played. Like he's never played in the Premier League, and he's never played with this team. I mean, they practice as much as they can, but they never get that continuity between teammates.
So I think tonight's match.
I think this is the reason why then he has to play in the next leg to have minutes. Because if you don't play him and we hide him away, he had a bit of a nervy first game. We've got to hide him away. What happens then if Megalegs breaks his leg now and he's out?
I think that's what this game.
Now we're going to have to play him, and now it's going to be even more nervy. I'd rather keep him bubbling. He's got to be shown that he could have a place in the squad, that he's still settling, that the manager still believes in him. We can't go, you had a bit of a shaky game there, we can never play you again. We're only going to play you if we have to break the glass in an emergency. You have to give him
Yeah.
a little bit more than that. Do you know what
And
I mean? And I'd rather we did that in the Europa League. I can take that gamble. We can't gamble in the league. And if we don't play him, one of our defenders go out injured on a big basis, now you're going to have to play him. And now it's going to be more nervy time because he hasn't had the minutes. He's going to be put in. He's going to know there's more attention on him, that we're fighting for the league and I've got to come in now. And if I fuck up, while he's thinking about all of that, he's not making tackles.
Yeah, and I think that's we're gonna know next Thursday. We're gonna know next Thursday if Arteta puts him back in. So we'll leave it at that point. Really is right here though. Kiwior does need a run of games, which he won't be getting this season. He won't be getting it in the senior, probably.
That's why I'm like, why do we bring him in? Because if he can't play multiple games, then
we brought him in.
use him.
I agree with you, Gary. It doesn't
We
make
can't
sense.
use him.
It's not like if we've paid
Holding
7
can
million
come in.
for him.
Holding is a player that you will sit for months, and then when you bring him in, you're like, I'm going to get something out of him. I'll be fine. I know. You don't know what you're going to get with Kiwior. He can make up mistakes because he's got the speed, but when it's in that final third, you don't have much time to recover. So
Pablo Mari, right? Pablo Mari got a lot of games, got a few games, and then the decision was made. Remember his first couple of games? I remember people going, "Oh, he's the one," on the back of 2 games. Same as what people said with Tavares.
Yeah, I was a little bit.
And he played, but then didn't he play City? And you're like, "Oh crap."
Yeah, and I think Tommy, Tommy is the same, because sometimes you bring a player in, they're fucking full of beans, they're at a nice big club that they've heard about, lovely pitch, all the fans on Twitter welcoming them. They go out and have a couple of good games. All of a sudden, the player that they've come in for gets, we don't want him anymore. We want this new shiny toy. And then after you see him a little bit more, you're like, oh fuck. Look at Tavares in France now. The same thing is happening to what happened at Arsenal. He started off really well, putting numbers up, looking the business, and now the excitement's gone. He's leveled out now. He's leveled out again, and his performances are down the toilet.
You have to look at the whole performance through the season as a whole. And yes, last season I got caught up in the Tavares. So that was me. I'll say that was me. Steven said, I'll say it after last match. I'll say it again. No more zonal defense on corners. It's killing us. Zonal miscreants, mismatches. Zonal defenses, mismatches, confusion.
Zonal defense creates mismatches, confusion on who has or who, where, and when, and if it has no accountability when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like somebody should have been screaming at that point, and that in that scenario, if Turner did call for it and then ducked, that's where Saliba should be able to go and to Turner, like, what are you doing? You're calling off my partner here, and you're not going to get the ball.
Yeah.
Or he calls you to get the ball and you don't go get it, and then Turner's screaming at Kiwior, going, "Why aren't you going to clear out this ball that I told you to go get?" You know what I mean? Like, so that's the communication we need, because that's the constructive criticism that you need in the middle of a game. You know, like, I'll put my hand around your neck around your shoulder for a bit, but then look, when I call you to go get the ball, you go get it, right? Or if you're going to call for the ball, you better come get it. I'll protect. I'll get back on line and clear the ball off the line. But you can't hesitate.
Yeah,
right? You don't have time to hesitate in that situation. It's got to be
communication and the cues between the goalkeeper and his defense and particularly his 2 central defenders is key at all times. For me, at times, Turner looked a little shaky, says Stephen. Tomiyasu, I think, redeemed himself a little bit from the weekend. He was a little bit more solid. Keown-esque header from Saliba for the goal. Turner was both hero and villain today. His stops kept us in it. Yeah. But most Arsenal fans will either think it was Kiwior or Turner. Obviously, we've talked about that for the first goal. I'm still unsure as to what traits of Matt Turner convinced our scouts in recommending to sign him. So, backup goalkeepers in the Premier League, they're generally not the best goalkeepers.
No, but you know what? Number 1 USA goalkeepers, he's not just a regular backup. He's a number 1.
He's competent goalkeeper.
He's a number 1 goalkeeper for US.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think what happened today on that first goal was, well, you know what? He's a second. He's our number 2 goalkeeper, so that's why that happened.
I think you
right?
just
Because
answered
if
your own question there.
you just said he can play in the World Cup, right, and start for them. That
Yeah.
scenario happens in the World Cup. He calls for it. He goes and gets it. Otherwise, guess what happens? Ream or whoever one of those center backs is for USA is like, what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Unsure.
You've answered your own question.
he's not just a regular number two. He is the number one goalkeeper for USA.
And there's the answer to your question. The reason that Arsenal bought him was they didn't buy a goalkeeper that fitted the profile of the way that they want their goalkeepers to play. They bought a goalkeeper that is the number one goalkeeper for the USA. Marketing. Like buying a
Yeah, and
Japanese
look,
player or a
Austin
player from
Trusty.
Asia or
You
whatever.
think
You see
so?
what
You
I
don't
mean?
think he has any qualities that are
I'm
good
not
to
saying
play?
that, but what I'm
Well, no,
saying
no.
is,
You're saying they were for
no.
marketing. I'm
What
saying,
I'm
what
saying is, I'm
about?
going to buy a goalkeeper, right? And I need a backup. Then I'm looking for certain attributes. And Matt Turner clearly doesn't have the attributes to play in the way that this team plays out from the back. So why
He's
did they buy him? There was no other goalkeepers that could play out from the back. They bought him because he was the American number
No,
one keeper.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I
And you
believe he
can't, and
actually is a
that
talented goalkeeper.
influence
You're,
must have come from the
uh,
owners. It's
I
an
think we're on
American.
opposite ends of this one. I don't
I'm
believe. I
just
don't.
saying,
I hear what you're saying. I hope not.
what
I hope not.
what
But I don't think
everything
he's that bad of a goalkeeper.
everything's
It's all about
done.
marketing.
There's enough smoke. There's enough smoke about what Stan's talking about.
It's
to
like
make
saying,
make you
do you
think.
want this goalkeeper from the Championship or the French Ligue 1 who plays over there and he can play out from the back? He's got blah, he's got some of the attributes. Or do you want the American number one goalkeeper? Because listen, we'd like to have, we want to keep a foothold in America. It's always good, like when we used to buy
Right. And
the Parks and all of them people, Parks and stuff like that, and they'd
there
never
is
play for us. They'd go off on loan. The Michi Yitsus and all these people. You never see them play.
and there's also
Take your
Austin
foil
Trusty
cap
in
off,
Birmingham.
Stan. That's all I'm saying.
The Miachi.
Take your foil cap off, Stan. I know it's
All
sitting
right.
right over there behind the scenes. I know it is.
I
I don't believe that at all. I believe he's a quality goalkeeper, and
I'm not saying he's
it's
not quality.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no. But you're
saying
saying
that.
it's
I'm saying that he
marketing, and I'm
doesn't
like,
fit
no,
the profile.
he is a good
So why would you buy him?
goalkeeper.
But
Listen,
I'm not saying that
listen.
he's incompetent. But
No,
he doesn't
you're
fit the
saying it's about the
profile.
money. That's what you're saying about the money he can bring in.
Both
That's what you're
things,
saying, and you can't.
both things are not mutually
He doesn't
exclusive.
fit the profile.
Right?
So what does he have going for himself? What he has going for himself is he's the American number one goalkeeper. That's important. That's marketing. That's all I'm saying.
You're both right. You're both right. Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing
Anyway,
with your hands.
I don't know. Trying to point to you and Stan simultaneously. That's very difficult. Jorginho's lack of pace was on full display early in the match. Thank God Saliba has warp speed to affect the play. Yeah, I think Stan, there's enough smoke there. He is American. He is a goalkeeper. We needed a goalkeeper, and we brought him in. Now, he's also a national team goalkeeper, so he does have some
number one somewhere, right?
He does have some. Well, eventually he's probably going to move on and want. He's going to move on and want.
You come out of MLS, you're already stigmatized. You know that. Well, how
Yeah,
many players come
yeah.
out of the MLS where you go, you know what? I think he could work, and it never works. Most of the USA players that you see out there playing right now, they went as young teenagers into the academies and stuff like that. But once you're in the MLS, you kind of stigmatized as, you know what? It's probably below championship, right?
It is a lower standard.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not given
that's
the same
perception as well.
Yeah.
Aronson, for example, had to go to Salzburg.
Hold on. So then he must have come to Arsenal for the salary, right? Because surely there must be a team somewhere in the world, doesn't matter what country, if he was available, there must be someone that would go, you know what, we'll buy you and we'll play you every week. Every fucking week we will play you. You'll be our number one goalkeeper. So he decided not to do that. And he decided to come to England and be a backup and hardly ever play.
Well, let's not.
He's America's number one.
Yeah.
And if you're the American coach, do you not think to yourself, you see that, they say to the players, you're not playing a lot. You need to start playing first team football, else I can't pick you. So is he gonna have that said to him?
That will happen. That can happen. You know what I mean?
So then,
and this is what happened with
decision in both parts to me. You've got a goalkeeper that doesn't fit the profile, but we bought him anyway. And we've got a goalkeeper that's now is going to be a second string, could lose his international place, like you just agreed. It doesn't make sense.
Stan,
I didn't
None
agree
of
to
it makes
that.
sense.
I didn't agree to that.
Robbie,
last
make
so
it make sense, Robbie.
hold
I
all
didn't
right,
make it. I
let's
didn't agree to that. Maybe
we're not getting
Ray
No,
did.
bogged
no, I'm
down in
talking
this.
to
Come
Ray.
on,
Ray
we're gonna
just
move
said
on.
that. Ray just
Yeah.
agreed to that,
We're
right?
gonna
That's what
move
I
on.
just
We're
said.
gonna move
You
on,
know what? The
right?
thing about
Why?
Gabriel
It's
Margalés
a,
when he
it's a,
came
it's
in,
a good debate.
like
It's a good
you're
I
right
have
debate.
about on the road. You're right about when Margalés come on. He had a whole summer, but he also had who did he have right next to him? You know, he had a brethren and Louise basically showing him the ropes, and I
the other
believe that
thing.
helped.
The other thing as well, Manchester City last season, Manchester City had Stephans as second choice
You know what it
goalkeeper.
is, right? I'm still in that
He's not,
argumentative mode from that woman in the bank
yeah,
from earlier that I was telling you
we're
about.
You,
I'm
talking.
you
still
want to
in that
fight? You want to
mode.
fight? Dukes up, man. Get your
I'm in
dukes
that
up.
mode. There's no need to be angry, Mr. Howie. I'm not angry. Who said I was angry?
Stan has a need to be heard tonight. um, Stephens was Manchester City's second choice goalkeeper last season. He's not at the club anymore. He's moved on.
Yeah.
You know, so in the Premier League, the backup goalkeeper is probably the most difficult position to fill. You know, and it's a convenience. You fill it out of convenience. Bernd Leno, we're going to be facing Bernd Leno on Sunday. He didn't want to be first, or he didn't want to be second choice. He didn't want to fight for first place because he had a national team and the World Cup he wanted to get to as well.
See, there you go, right? He was like second or third place for his national team. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wants to be first place. Didn't want to be second fiddler at
And look where he
Arsenal.
is now. He's not
And
even.
then,
He's not even in the top three now, if I recall. So he's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't. It didn't help.
no, okay. But then
Well,
you've got
short
Matt
term, he got
Turner, who's
himself to a
number
World
one,
Cup,
and it's moved to do the complete opposite and be a number two and hardly play. So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to make the, where people are when they're making their decisions or what their mindset is. So for me, that must mean I'll take the salary. Thank you.
and
Surely.
also the national
What's that?
team.
Hang on.
It's Dennis.
He agrees. He
Okay.
says he says it's for the money.
You don't even understand what he said. You don't even understand what he said.
I'm not going to disagree with Dennis.
I didn't hear him shout me.
No,
Like we heard
nobody heard
Turner
him. That's the
shout
thing.
me. We
Nobody
didn't
heard him.
hear it. Thunder
No,
Road's here. Gabriel Martinelli was an early summer signing and benefited from a preseason tour where he could play meaningless friendlies with new teammates. January signings don't have this luxury, you know.
Yeah, but why bring him in if they can't play?
Backup?
No. Think about it. When
I
Erdegaard
agree.
came in January, did he play?
Yes.
Yes, he did. He played, right? So young players, inexperienced players who have been sitting on the bench for a while can come in and play. We've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So he
But
could
you're
come in and
looking
play.
at Gabriel Martinelli.
No, we're talking about Kiwior in that sense, right? Because he
Yeah,
came
I'm
in
talking about
January.
Gabriel Martinelli.
Yeah, but he came in the summer and had a whole summer.
I know, but if you who are you picking on Sunday? You're picking Gabriel Martinelli. You're not picking Kiwior.
No, but the way that he started his career had nothing to do with. Well, you know what? He's our. You know what? He's our number one center back. He wasn't our number one center back. There
Right.
was an injury the week of, and he had no choice but to play him.
Happy. Those happy accidents again. We keep coming up with these happy accidents, right? An injury and he got his chance. This happens in football. Thunder Road's talking about corners, free kicks, defensive concerns, Everton corner, Brentford free kick, Bournemouth corner. Yeah, we definitely need to tighten up on that aspect. We need to play him every match possible, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes to get that cohesion.
Yeah, if anybody's coming in for 7 minutes at the end of a match and it's on the defensive side, it should be Kiwior,
Bring him up to
right?
speed.
Like,
Okay.
like 7, 8 minutes left in a game. Usually, either we're holding on to a lead most of the time. Like, I don't understand a substitution in the 80-minute plus period, except for like just getting getting a little bit of
Holding
tra-
on to
you
what
know.
you have, right?
That's
BX
why you bring in Holding, right? If you're gonna do that, you bring in
Mm.
Holding. If you're not bringing in Holding, then
Yeah.
you can bring in Kiwior, right?
Do you think it's dependent on what side? Like it's like, okay, I'm going to take off the left-sided, like I'm going to take off mega legs, therefore I have to put on Kiwior. Or could he say, I'm taking off mega legs and I'm putting Holding? Do you think it's that dependent on the leg?
He is very dependent on the leg. Yes, Arteta likes his left and his right leg. Kept a clean sheet. Turner did against England in the World Cup. American manager situation is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Don Juan is in the house.
There
Welcome,
you
Don
go.
Juan.
Hello, everybody in the chats. Yeah.
Gabriel Megalegs.
He knows.
So,
He knows. Mega legs. Mega legs.
Gabriel, if you know, you know. And
Mega legs.
Gabriel was signed in the COVID year. There was no preseason that year. He was given a straight start away in the league. All right.
They did practice in the summer though, right? I mean, it wasn't like there wasn't football practice and stuff
Yeah.
going on. So he did practice with the team. Like I said, I think he also had Louise there helping him along. So I think that helped.
Yeah, and I think in this situation where we're looking at Saliba, who is helping Kiwior along. So
Yeah, but you can't do that in the middle of a season. It's a little different.
you can do it in the context of the game.
No, but you can't. No, you can't. It's worse in the game. You don't really have time for. You can't be teaching somebody in the middle of a game. Are you kidding me?
He's a defender. Like we've already established, he's a Polish
I know, but
international.
when we compare it to Margules, who had a whole summer sitting on playing with a bona fide, defender, right, Louise? I
Yeah.
think that's totally different than what Saliba isn't teaching. Saliba and Louise aren't at the same level in terms of experience playing in the Premier League. For a new player who hadn't played in the Premier League, you just can't compare the two and say it's the same thing. It's not. It's not the
It's-
same thing.
So a central defender cannot communicate with his
I
partner.
didn't say they communicate. I said
That's what I'm saying.
But they're not going to be. He's not supporting him in the same way Louise is, right? Saliba cannot support a new defender coming in like Louise did when Margulis came in. It's not the same.
I disagree. It is the same. You
Louise has a
communicate.
lot more experience. He's actually won trophies in the Premier
What
League.
is? Yeah.
So he has. You're telling me having experience in the league, winning trophies, does not supersede not winning anything in the league and being in your first season. It's not the same thing.
It does seem odd, right? That Saliba is going to be all of a sudden he's going to be telling a player that's been.
I'm
to
trying
the
to
World
tell
Cup,
Ray that, but he's
into
telling
the
me it's
World
the
Cup.
same
No,
thing as
do
Louise
do
coming in.
that.
I don't
I would
think
expect
so.
Kiwior to be helping Saliba because
I'm
the
looking
age-
at it. I'm
surely
looking at
Kiwior had more
Saliba.
experience playing the game. He's been playing
Albeit-
longer. International, World Cup. You'd think that he might have to know about Arsenal, but that's what the manager's going to tell him. This is how we play in defence. But in the game, I would have thought that Kiwior should be keeping an eye on Saliba because he does have more experience. Unless Saliba is just that he's so fucking good, he's just streets ahead.
There
Do you know
is
what I mean?
patterns.
And a Kiwior can look at him and go, you know what? I know you're younger than me, but fucking hell, you've got it. So I'm going to listen to you. You're going to tell me what I should do. Even though I've come back from a World Cup, you're telling me, okay, let's go.
Well, Stan, there is a pattern of play even in defending. So in the Arsenal way of defending.
And he does
Saliba-
training and he's learning that in training. That's what he does every day in training, learning that pattern of play. He doesn't just
Training- But
he doesn't
training is
just
different to the actual game itself.
It's game preparation. They would have been preparing for this game all week. They don't just do keepy ups all week and then go out and play football and then they learn in the game. They have all that
I
stuff
wish
in
you
the
were right,
classroom.
Stan, but
They have all that stuff with the
what we've
little
seen does not
markers, and
prove
you're
that
gonna
to be true. Practicing all week in a controlled environment and then taking it and putting it onto a pitch, not the same. We've seen it. It doesn't work. You have to play in a real game to get the experience.
This is what Don Juan, we started out. This is how we feel as well. We're not getting reactionary at all.
No.
About Kiwior. It might sound like it. We're getting into the semantics.
Yeah.
Don Juan,
defending.
I actually said that I want to see him play in the next leg. He needs to play again. We can't just, that was a bit shady. Let's lock him away in the fucking cellar.
Yeah.
No, I never felt like our defense, like the center back pairing was an issue, especially after hearing what Turner did to him. So,
And
And the only way it's going to improve is by more live games.
Yeah.
And watching videos and all that shit I do off the pitch.
All right. Let's get off of defense because it's been sticky wicket for me for the last 35.
I like a bit of fire.
I got a little bit of fire. Gary got a little bit of fire. Stan's
coming up with Stan's coming up with his tinfoil hat. Tinfoil hat scenarios.
No, they're all right. They're all right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Come on,
Dennis.
Dennis.
They're all right.
Dennis,
That's
I don't know
right,
why. Dennis, I don't know why you're hanging out with that guy. I told you
Dennis Bergkamp
multiple
down
times
there.
to stay away from that riffraff. Look at him. He's
He wanted to come on the pod.
that guy is danger. That is a
Stan,
problem. That's a rebel
um,
there you're talking to, Dennis. Stay away from
Dennis
him.
Bergkamp, such a legend in the game, should have his own dedicated webcam. You shouldn't be sharing the screen with him.
Actually, why are we talking to you?
Yeah. Bring Dennis up front. Bring Dennis up front. Bring Dennis up front. No. Let's get off the back four here, and we'll talk about the individual goals in a little bit as well.
Oh man.
But Gary, start us off with. I wanted to look at Martinelli in this
Yeah.
central number 9 position. Right, he's had to fill in now for a couple of games with Trossard being out because Trossard was the latest one we tried there.
Mhm.
And then Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah. So is Martinelli growing into this role a little bit? He's starting to figure it out a little bit.
Well, I think he looks just like a fourth number
Attacker,
9
a
for us,
winger.
right? So, yeah, he still needs more time to get acclimated to that spot. He did show some really good, attacking threats. But in general, what I think Arteta wants out of that position, he's not there yet. But I think we played all right there. As I said, I think our main issue was, as Arteta said it, and I saw the same thing. We were pretty sloppy with the ball. I mean, we gave the ball away too easy. We passed it really, and that just kind of just stopped the flow. And we saw when we got the passes right, we saw attacks from Martinelli, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, he needed to pull the trigger earlier today. I think once again, I keep saying we've been hesitant to just pull the trigger and take a shot. I mean, Xhaka took a shot and ended up going in the goal.
Yeah.
A lot of our attackers, for some reason, just don't want to take that shot. They want to. I don't know what they're waiting for. When the goalkeeper comes out like that, take the shot. We see it all the time. Those shot, the goalkeeper commits, and then you just take the shot either behind him or in front of him, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And we just don't do that. And by the time we decide to make a shot, the defense is called up to us. So, but no, I think Martinelli played okay, but right now he is our fourth fourth attacker in the middle there,
Yeah.
and it looked like it.
Looked a
Um,
little bit uncomfortable to him. Is that what you're saying?
I just think I mean, he needs to
Ready?
play there more for him
Take
to
care,
get up
Reddy.
to.
Thanks.
All
Thanks for
right,
joining
ready.
us on
Thanks for
that one.
joining
Get
us.
ready.
Yeah.
Come back on Sunday, Reddy. Check out Gary as well on Saturday.
Yeah.
Off to
Actually,
sleep. Catch you all later. Arsenal on Sunday.
yeah.
Here we go. It's Thursdays and Sundays now. And this is the point of the title of the podcast here. Squad evolution. If we're going to evolve, we need to play players like Kiwior and see what he's like. Maybe, as Stan and Gary has said, give him a run of games, see what he's all about. If we are to have squad evolution, we got to see what Martinelli looks like through the middle as well. So, Stan, what were your thoughts on Gabriel Martinelli through the middle?
Well, when I was thinking about what we were going to do for our lineup, because we've got so many players now through the middle that can't be available, I was actually thinking I'd start Reece Nelson on the left with Martinelli up front on paper when you submit the squad, but maybe he can play like he did with Trossard, with those two, rotating that left area and coming into the middle. So I got what I wanted, and I think that he had a couple of chances, Martinelli. That chance he had when he went galloping off, which was reminiscent of his goal against Chelsea, which we all remember. He did his best, but he couldn't just get round the keeper.
Should he have taken the shot rather than going past the keeper? He's got a chance to pull the trigger just inside the box.
As soon as the defender missed the tackle, he was basically 2 feet off the 18. He could take a shot from there, but now he continues to go forward. The goalkeeper comes out, takes him off, the touch is off, and then the ball's walked out of bounds.
And the defender gets back to block him out as well.
I mean,
I just think
the attacker who put in the tackle slowed him down just enough that the goalkeeper was able to get there, and then the second defender was able to come in there and clear it and
much like
erase the danger.
much like that Chelsea goal that Stan's talking about that Martinelli scored. I wanted him to pull the trigger in the same position at the field, the top of the D right there. Goalkeeper's coming out of his box, but there's some room to get past him with a shot, slide it through his legs, whatever.
I mean, yeah, he could have pulled the trigger, but he's one of our top goal scorers at the moment, so he can
Yeah.
find the net. I just hope
Yeah.
that when he's in a situation like that and it doesn't come off, that he learns from it and he still has the confidence to continue to take chances in the game,
Yeah.
and it doesn't, he doesn't fade out because of it.
This
He's still,
this Maisie run,
he's still learning to a certain extent as well, Martinelli.
yeah,
He's probably
he's
less
wrong.
experienced than a Kiwior, for example,
Yeah.
in football in lives or years. So we always have to remember that we decided to build, or the management decided that they were going to build from a young team, and with that does come learning on the job at some points, and we have to always remember that in the back of our mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, this is the part where we're a really good team right now, but we need to evolve to be a team for the next 4 or 5 years. You know, to go on and challenge in the Premier League again next season as well. To go on, hopefully challenge. This is our test run, pretty much, for the Champions League next year. We got to go to places like more with teams that have more ability than maybe Sporting Lisbon have. You know, Porto, teams like that. Juventus, we got to play those teams in the Champions League, and this has to
also,
become run of the mill. Yep.
also as well, we also have to remember that the only reason that he was played in that position, and probably that Reece Nelson got a start, is because we've got 3 players that are out. Gabriel is out, Trossard is out, Eddie's injured as well. We don't have anything else, so that is break glass and emergency style.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Bukayo Saka, if we had those players, Gary, Bukayo Saka would have probably been rested as well.
Good point.
In this game, So because of injuries up front to Gabriel Jesus, we're in that situation. Trossard, Eddie Nketiah, Bukayo Saka yet again has to keep plowing through this season, and we have to find parts in the games, maybe in the games after 60 minutes, we got to take Bukayo Saka off and bring on Reece Nelson in his position. We got to start protecting.
We didn't do that today, right? We could have subbed him out today. We didn't do it today.
Do you think it was because of the shape of the game? Do you think maybe if we were ahead, then you could have seen that, but because we were kind of clawing back into the game, that he decided, well, I'm not going to take off one of my best players? Do you think that's his thinking?
I don't think Saka. Do you think Saka was that influential in this game today, where like you would have noticed if he came out?
Maybe not. Maybe as a manager, you're thinking, well, he you never know. It only takes that one moment, and if I take him out, then maybe we'll miss that. Do you know what I mean? That moment.
It can always give you something.
I get that sometimes, but at some point you're going to have to pull him anyways, right? It's not because he can. That is true for him 100% of the time. You keep him out there for 90 minutes, you're probably going to get something out of it. So you never pull him. You know what I mean? At some point, you gotta just, you gotta take because also you got to think about this is Thursday, Sunday as well, right? So do is it gonna be beneficial for us? Like if we're down a goal going home next Thursday, is that bad? It isn't, right?
Do you think he has a thought process then, Mikel, where he's like, his thought process is, I'm going to play my best players until I can't play them? Maybe that'll be for, maybe he thinks maybe that'll be for the next 2 games. But for all I know, it could be for the next month, and for the next month, I could be playing.
Has been
like that. Do you think?
You look at our minutes right now. Our team compared, like what we always talk about what some of the better teams do. They rotate a lot more than us, right? We've got 8 players that basically have played 20 plus, that started 20 plus games, right? The team that's chasing us has 2 or 4 or something like that, right? So they're not playing as many games. Yes, they're playing Champions League, so it might be a little different there, but we're still playing in a what I would consider a tougher league, playing a lot more of our players, right?
But then do you think that maybe because Man City, for example, as you mentioned, they do more rotation, but it's like you take out Phil Foden, you bring in a Gundogan. Do you know what I'm getting at? It's a different style of rotation from saying, okay, we'll take out Saliba and we'll put in Rob Holding.
Well,
Right.
that's where the coaching comes in, right? And the strategy comes in, right? Yes, we don't have a, like they have more like for like or closer in quality players that they can bring on. But when you change, you have to adjust to that, right? It's like being down a man in a game. You don't just go, well, we're just going to continue to play the same way. No, you adjust to having one less man on the pitch and you do things a little bit different. You don't take as many risks. So
Mhm.
I think you do the same thing if you bringing in a different player, like you're taking Saka out and you're bringing in Reece Nelson. What is qualities of each player, you adjust, and that's what coaching does, right? You adjust. We talk about in-game management, in-game strategy, things that happen. That's what happens. You know exactly what you're going to get from Reece Nelson, so you bring him in for Saka. You know how the game's going to change.
We've
You either
also,
right.
And I think
yeah,
if everybody had been fit today, maybe then he has the luxury then to look at the calendar and go, you know what, I can have Saka on the bench and I'll start with Reece. If it fucking goes tits up, I can always bring Saka in because he can give me
yeah.
something. But
Look,
we've got these three players out now, and Trossard is like a Swiss Army knife, right? He's not just missing from playing through the middle. We're missing
yeah,
him on the left, missing him on the right, even missing him as a left wing back.
yeah.
And Eddie Nketiah, he can play on the
We
left.
also,
So you're missing these positions. Like he had to maybe think, well, I've got to play Reece on the left, and that means I can't take out Saka. What's he going to do? Take
yeah.
Saka out and play
And we
Vieira on the
also
right?
have illness going through the camp as well, guys. We have
That's it.
illness
Hopefully,
going
it's
through.
not that bad. Hopefully,
What
it's not
illness
that
is
bad.
it?
Hopefully, some kind of bug is going through the
What, they
because
got the shits? The trots?
Kieran Tierney doesn't get the shits, right? He's tough. He's tougher than nails. He's tough as nails.
No, Kieran Tierney doesn't ever get the shits. The shits have Kieran Tierney's.
Don Juan didn't see. This is true. We didn't see the same intensity, but maybe the Premier League has a different intensity than European football.
I think, and this is how I felt like this
Were we
game went.
saving our legs, Gary?
I think we were playing to the competition, and we can't play like that. So for me, I
Were
think
we?
I
Were
think
we
when
thinking?
I believe we are the better team coming in,
Mm,
regardless of who we put out there, and I think we needed to dictate how this game went, and we didn't. I think we played more of a style or a flow that they could deal with, and they were much better at it. And then they took advantage of us playing. I think not playing the way we usually do,
Was
and
there some part of us saying we will take a draw here?
I don't know why we
We'll
needed
get
to.
beaten.
We were good enough to. I mean, I think we were good enough to get the
Go
win.
and win the game. Yeah.
There's
So I
no
don't think we
away
needed
goal
to do that.
rules either, is there? None of that going on, is
No,
No.
there?
there's none of that.
No.
So,
No.
but it would have
Um,
been nice to have a goal lead going in, going home.
yeah.
Like for me, having a lead going in, we're hopefully going to get healthier by next Thursday, right? Players that sat
Hopefully.
out this week, like Trossard, will be back, and maybe Jesus will be actually on the bench and stuff like that might happen, right?
So I think the news was Erdegaard and maybe Kieran Tierney have been affected by this illness, and hopefully they have
I feel bad for
quarantined
Tierney,
or
right?
separated.
Because he's missed so many minutes. He's just so unlucky, isn't he? The football gods don't
Yeah.
work for him.
Yeah.
They don't work for Kieran Tierney,
No.
right? Because he could have got minutes
Just
today, and it's not like he's
yeah.
got another injury. People go, he's injury prone. Nah, just unlucky for him. He got the fucking shits on the day that he was going to get. There's no luck for the
You just
guy.
made that up. You don't know what he
But
got.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a sore throat, ear
It has
infection.
yet to be
He's so
confirmed.
unlucky that the day
Alleged.
he would have got minutes, he got the
Yeah.
sniffles or whatever it is.
The alleged shits. BX said this is correct. We're still building our squad. By next season, Arteta should have his full squad.
Exactly.
The squad will always be evolving, though. BX, Stan, and
Exactly.
Gary.
I think you know what, we're not there yet. I think
No.
we're still not. Even if we bring in some players, I think we're still not.
we
We're
can
not.
see.
We're not there where we're like, okay, we've got a solid team yet. Because if we're playing the Champions League next year and we only bring in whatever 2 or 3 players, for example, we're not ready yet. Like those players won't be ready to be able to compete in a Champions League, challenging for the
Mhm.
top of the league kind of a situation at that point.
Yeah.
If you want to gauge where we are in our rebuild and what BX Gunner there, I want to follow on to that. If you want to try and gauge where are we in this rebuild since Mikel Arteta has been our manager, we're at the stage now where we have a pretty decent first 11
Mhm.
and 1 or 2 others. But
Yep.
we're not in that stage where we know what I mentioned about Man City, where you can leave out a
Yeah.
Foden, for example, bring in a Gundogan, and it's like nobody noticed. Nobody's going, where's Phil? When we get to that level with our bench and quality of players to match our first team, then we will have probably reached the end of the build and be at our full potential. So we're not doing too badly to be sitting at the top of the league, even though we don't have those resources in the background like a team like City does. Not bad.
We're sitting at the top of the league because we have 12 to 14 really, really good players that have sustained us. As Gary said, 8 of them, I think, have played something like more than 20 games, right, Gary?
Started, not played. Started.
More than 20. So we have had to use that fuel. We had to use those players.
Yeah.
And that's why we are 5 points clear.
And you know, and we didn't. I get starting them that many times, but we don't rotate enough to where, yes, they may start a lot of the games, but they don't finish
My
all of the
worry-
games. You know.
I get what you're saying as well, but my worry would be you rotate and you're going to drop a point here or there, 2 points here or there.
Yeah. Well, it's better
And then
than
we're
going
not
through.
5
You saw what
points.
happened last season, right? You just
Yeah.
dropped
Well,
points in 3 straight games, right?
We have a better squad now than last season, even with injuries.
We're in that same situation this season. Like we're better off, we're better, but we're still in the same situation where we could drop points in 3 straight games, right? To close
Sure.
out a season because
Listen, we've
the-
got 12 games to go in the Premier League. Anything can happen right now. 5 points clear can go away pretty quickly, and we need to be cognizant of that as well. We'll talk about Fulham in a little bit.
Yeah.
Steven said, I don't care what anyone says. Saka looked beat up at the end of this match. He has to have a break soon. I don't want him going on international duty. And maybe we can
follow on
conduct
from
them.
that. What Steve said there.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
because I saw a picture at the end of the game where Saka was sat down on the pitch. I don't know whether he looked like he was one of two things. He either he was disappointed or he was absolutely knackered. And I agree with what Misfit's saying here because we've just been talking about, he needs a rest. When is it going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. Well, we're going to get an international break. And guess what? He's going to that as well. And my fear is that that's maybe a bridge too far and he gets an injury on international duty. Now, if Mikel Arteta is smart,
he never comes back from those things unscathed.
Now, if Mikel Arteta is smart, right, he needs to sit down with Saka and say, listen, you're an England international, fantastic. But you're also in a situation now where we are fighting for a Premier League championship. That I'm sure you want that medal and you want that on your CV, right? With the team that you've grown up with. Now, this is what I'm saying. It's a friendly. It's an international friendly. You're going to get
competitive game.
You're going to get a niggle. You're going to get a little niggle. And don't worry about, are you jeopardizing your chances with England? No. And do you know why? Because you're one of their best players.
Yeah.
You're not
you started in the World Cup. I think you scored
the team anymore. You're
3
cemented
goals
into the team. So don't worry about Mr. Southgate thinking, he's breaking. You've already broke in, mate. He depends on you. So let's focus on a conversation like that. Get him to understand and let him get a niggle. So Alex Ferguson used to do it all the time.
Our needs are greater. I'm sorry. Even if it's not a competitive game and it's a friendly, there's no need for.
And that's where Southgate has to be a little bit smart with how he handles the team, the players that come in.
Has he been picked? Has the squad been put out yet for the England international? Okay. I know the Brazilians are not going. Gabriel Jesus obviously recovering from injury, but Gabriel Megalegs or Martinelli are not going as well. Martinelli, we talked about that reminded me of the Theo Walcott burst up at Anfield as well, where he squared the ball for Adebayor, that long mazy run. He had a couple of other chances in that position. Zinchenko feeding him through, trying to lift the ball over the keeper as well, saved. And then a cross from, I believe it was Nelson, and just missed him. He didn't get to his head on it. So I think Martinelli's getting there if he has to continue in that number 9 position. He's going to get there. Next person up is Fabio Vieira. A lot of people saying he had a bad game, Gary, but I thought he played quite a good game. And it's not easy for probably a rival Portuguese player. You know,
Hang on. Sorry, hold
really,
on. Fabio Vieira, teabag. Yeah. Sorry,
It's
Dennis
not
didn't know
his
he was
name.
talking
No,
about.
no. You know what? If that's truly Dennis, then that's nonsense. What just happened just there? That's just total nonsense. Dennis, you don't have to rule Dennis. You just proved that just there. You just proved it. Just proved it. You just proved
uh,
it. That's the
let
fake
Foden,
Dennis. Go get the real one because that's not
like,
the real guy.
let Foden go for England. He's the one that needs to prove himself. Exactly, Don Juan. Uh, Gary, you
You
can't use Southgate and
you know
Smart
what? You're
in
right
the
about
same
that,
sentence.
Stephen. I made a mistake. That's just terrible. That is just terrible of
Did
me
you
thinking
use
that
Smart and Southgate
I
in the
did in the
same?
same sentence. I did. I
Wow,
did. I'm
wow.
sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, so what do we call him? Fabio?
His name's
Dennis?
Fabio, man.
Dennis Teabag?
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
His name-
I thought he had a good game. And where did Fabio come from? Porto? We signed him from Porto, right? That's got to be a rival to Lisbon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And when we
That's
signed him, he had the highest assists in that league. He was the
mhm.
highest assister by quite some way as well.
So I thought he came in and played well in this game, and it can't be easy for him to go to probably a rival and a rival stadium. The atmosphere seemed
Played
What do
there
you
loads
mean?
of
He's
time.
done it
He knows
before,
that
so
pitch better than anyone, right?
You
He
know
knows
what?
that
I
pitch
don't believe
better
you.
than anyone.
No, you're making an excuse. If he had played in that league and had played against that team, then that's not something new that he's experiencing in terms
He
of
knows all of
the
them.
crowd.
Probably goes out if he used to get
no,
out drinking
no.
with most of them.
The ends of the stadiums were empty. They were thinking it wasn't even packed. So it wasn't probably a
It did
typical
seem
game.
like the home crowd were enjoying it. From the scenes in the crowd, they were enjoying the goals, right? But it seemed like somewhat of a preseason friendly for them. Maybe they don't really believe they're going to progress as well in this tie and just going to enjoy their days out against Arsenal.
I think Fabio
So,
Vieira did all right.
yeah, uh,
He just needs to play a lot more. That's all.
he
So
put the corner in for William Saliba to
he's
head the ball in
good for that.
after, what, 22
I'm glad
minutes?
that he's getting his starts because I'm trying to look at this season for Teabag as Odegaard when he first came on loan. You know, he came
Mhm.
on loan for a short period of time. He wasn't playing like he is now. You can see he was good, but you know that was like his learning curve. So I'd like to think the same thing's happening to him because again, this isn't a player that we've like picked up for like 7 million, 8 million from somewhere. We shelled out 32 million for him for a
Yeah, but
reason.
see the difference
Good
when
money.
we
That's good money, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it
the
is.
difference is when you compare him to Erdegaard. Erdegaard came in and on loan, right, for the 6 months, and then we spent the 30 mil on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got a little test run with him to figure out if he was worth it, and then we let him play. Whereas he's coming in with a whole season ahead of him, and
Which is even better.
but we need to see. We weren't able to see much from him in the
Uh,
preseason, so he's behind the 8 ball once again. Now
Yeah, that's true.
But
We
look,
didn't have
when we
preseason.
got Odegaard on loan from, and then we sent him, and then he went back. I can remember the streets asking to get Buendia in instead to replace, and not getting back. Don't get him back. Let's get Buendia. Don't get him
well,
back.
I think it
Let's
was.
spend 60 million and get James
You're
Maddison.
always going to get that stand. You're always
But there
going to
was the
get
whole
a
thing that he
statement.
wasn't going to
And
come
now
back,
he
right?
came back, and look where we are. And I'm just
Yeah.
trying to say that you know he's come from the Portuguese league, which is a different league, but the highest assister, not the second highest or the
Yeah.
third, and it was by some way.
The
We've
first.
seen that he had some good technique. We've seen that he's got a good eye for goal. I'm just saying because he's not ripping up trees right away. He's had to bulk up as well. I want to try and treat this period as the kind of the grace that we now believe Odegaard got when he was here on loan, instead of going, nah, we should have got Buendia. We should, we look back on it now, and I bet everyone's like, thank fuck we didn't get Buendia or Maddison. I'm very happy that
Yeah.
Martin Odegaard is here. Let's try and give it a bit of foresight with Vieira. Let's see what happens next season
Shout out.
and try and
Definitely.
he does as best as he can for this season. He's going to be a better man next season. And as I mentioned before, good money we paid for him. Good money, 32 million.
Yeah, we did pay good money. Noe Donis is here. Dennis, the Dennis Bergkamp avatar, just like the Dennis Bergkamp right beside Stan right there. But Noe, good to see you back. It's been quite a few weekends. I know you're busy with young family and all that good stuff.
Hang on.
So,
Dennis would just like to say hi to Noe.
It took that long to say hello. This guy's.
Well, you see, he had to say it in
He said
Dutch.
it in Dutch, all right? It's a
And
different
then
language.
Stan
It's in
had
Dutch.
to translate. I knew that, Stan. I knew.
Exactly.
I could see your Dutch to English conversion going on there. You
Yeah.
know, Dutch to Canadian.
No, Dutch to English and then to Canadian. So it was like triple.
See, it's not easy, Gary. It's not easy for Stan. We need to make allowances for Dennis and Stan.
But yeah, I did see some people saying as well that they thought that, you know, and again, it's all opinions. I saw some people saying that they thought that Teabag had a poor game. And that's fine. That's up to them. Personally, I liked what I saw, and it's encouraging. And I believe that, you know, we've not seen he's not at his level. There's going to be more.
No, he loves the Dennis Bergkamp.
Dennis said thank you.
Obviously, the Dutch thank you is a very short word because that translation is very very quick. Yeah, listen, this is all part of the squad evolution. Matt Turner's got to play games. Kiwior's got to play games. Who else? Jorginho's been playing games now and integrated himself into the dressing room.
Nelson.
Gary happy for ESR, definitely. Gary happy for Nelson and Emil Smith-Rowe?
Yep. Yeah, as soon as they came back into the squad, I was eagerly waiting for them to actually get some playing time. So yeah, definitely.
So it
we
does seem like
definitely need it. Yeah.
Nelson and Emil Smith-Rowe are splitting minutes right now as we bring.
Can I just say as well, I like the way that Mikel is treating ESR with slightly kid gloves. I would hate for him to be like rushed back in. Oh, get him back in. And then he breaks down and that.
Have
and
you noticed?
Like, oh, he's shit. He's accident prone. If he's being
have you noticed
slowly, and then there's a problem, then that's a fair assessment, right?
Yeah. I think we've all noticed from the All or Nothing documentary that the doctor, I think it's Gary Driscoll or something like that, has a big part to play. And he's right there on the sideline with Mikel Arteta as well, celebrating goals, but also probably has a very I think Arteta respects the medical crew on what they're saying about players, and they're going to take their time with Emil Smith-Rowe. Like you said, Stan, very important that he doesn't break down again in the next 3 or 4 weeks and that he gets fully up to speed. Emil Smith-Rowe coming in with Gabriel Jesus. Think about it, Gary. Emil Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Jesus, Trossard coming back in key points in the season right after this international break.
Yes, it's going to be really good. Yeah, we have all the answers for our attack on the bench as opposed to who do we bring on for this situation. We only got one person there, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, no, it's going to be good. And at some point, it'll be Nketiah and Trossard on the bench, so even better, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Martinelli seems to have. Do you think Martinelli got jolted a little bit at first from Trossard's arrival? And
that's what you wanted. That's what you want.
In recent weeks, we're seeing the response, right?
That's what you wanted. That's what we've all been asking for this, right?
Yeah.
The only way he's going to have players on the bench going to be able to come in is if they offer something. They offer something and they put a little pressure on the team. And that's what we've been asking for, competition in-house, right, between the players, right? We need that to get better because if not, you get complacent, right? We talk about it all the time. If
Absolutely.
you know you can make a mistake and nobody's going to come in to result,
I remember Trossard coming and meeting Martinelli, and it wasn't like exactly wide open arms hugging. It was like, oh, okay, here's another fellow professional who's after my spot.
If it was the other way around, I don't think it would have been different. I think we're right. It's probably a young player seeing an older player come in. I mean, they essentially had similar stats at that point when he came in, right? So, but it is a business, and if you don't perform, you don't play, right?
Yeah.
So,
so in general, we'll talk about Granit Xhaka's goal. Let's get to that first. Then we go 2-1 down. Turner, whatever, whoever we talked about that. But to come back and get to 2-all very quickly, Bukayo Saka part of it, I think, and Granit Xhaka getting the shot deflected. So a little bit of luck for us.
I mean, I don't know if it was a shot as much as it might have been a pass to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was more of a pass that got deflected in because I think it was Martinelli, right, that was running through the middle at that point. So if a pass would have gotten through, it would have been Martinelli with the goalkeeper in front of him, and he just picks a corner and scores, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, a ball going towards the goal, good things happen, and in that case, it did. I mean, even after that, we still had opportunities to where we could have scored after that point. So I think we were looking to score. I don't know sometimes why we just kind of we kind of like get away from that where we're looking to score. We taking the opportunities immediately as opposed to waiting for something to happen, which never does. But yeah, that was a good. We got lucky there, as they say, right?
Yeah,
That was lucky,
yeah.
right? Because
It
it
was
just
another. As with both of our goals, there was slight disagreements in terms of the Lisbon players protesting with Zinchenko in the first goal, which I actually feel the Lisbon player crumbled to his knees and brought Zinchenko down rather than the other way around.
that's what it
And
looked like
then
too. Yeah.
Bukayo Saka pushing.
He didn't
Off.
push him because if you look at it, like they showed it in slow motion, the ball is past the Lisbon player, and then he bumps. He bumps it. Then as the collision happens, he's already lost the ball. The collision happens. He goes down. It's like for me, that's what I saw, anyways.
And
So I don't.
what we've seen this season is probably Bukayo Saka growing up and bulking out. He's a lot stronger than you would think.
Think about it. We've seen him do that already, right?
Mhm.
Against Declan Rice, right? He took
Yeah,
the ball off Declan Rice and we score. So he
yeah,
doesn't. He's yeah. He might be. He might seem short, but the he's pretty strong
yeah.
in terms of football.
I mean, if you're
Granit
asking
Xhaka,
me, I mean, if you're asking me like about, what do you think about, Xhaka pushing people and that, I'll have to do throw in a Wenger and just go, look, I did not see it, so I cannot
yes, the
comment.
famous Arsene Wenger. But hey, we take a 2-2 draw. Stan Granit
Still in it.
Xhaka, huh?
We're still in it. I mean,
Well,
we're
yeah,
here to
we're not
we're
out
here
of
to
it.
discuss it and that, but we're still in it, and more importantly, we're still top of the league.
Yep, yep.
I'd love to win this competition though. I do like this competition. I don't look at it as a you know Papa John's pizza kind of style. I think this is I'd like to win this so that we can say that we have won this competition.
So let me ask you first, and then I'll go to Gary.
Yeah.
And I will say, first of all, I'm generally happy with the way that we approach this game, the way that Arteta approached the game. He's checked a lot of boxes for me. We get away with a 2-2 draw. We're still in the tie. We take it to a home leg. And feel free, both of you, to disagree with anything I've said. Kiwior's played a game, and Martinelli's been tried through the middle, probably through circumstance, right? Emil Smith-Rowe's come on, gotten some minutes. The only caveat is that Bukayo Saka, because of injuries, has had to play another game, which we would have liked him to rest. Gabriel Martinelli sits on the bench. Partey sits on the bench, but we're able to bring those players in and get some minutes into their legs to be ready for Sunday. So, Stan, I'm generally happy with everything that happened today. Obviously, you'd like to win the game, but we don't win, you don't lose. You know what I mean?
The way that you neatly packaged, your leading to me was perfect. All of the points, you've hit all of the key strokes there. I wanted, like I said, we bought this Kiwior for 20 million. He's not like some young kid from Brazil for 6 million. It's a gamble. He just played at a World Cup. He had to play. Okay, there was some miscommunication. It doesn't mean he should be ostracized. I want him to start the next game. Yeah, I want him to feel part of the team and to be given another opportunity. Matt Turner, he has to play. He has to play games at some point.
So,
You know what I mean? So and like you said, Martinelli going through the middle. We had to do that. What other option did we really have? So
not a lot, not a lot.
it is what it is, and we've come out of it with a draw. and we're still in it.
Right. With all that said, you've got my viewpoint, you've got Stan's viewpoint. I'm going to drop out for 2 seconds, be right back. And Gary, are you generally happy with how it went down tonight?
Am I happy? Uh, I'll take a draw coming in. I'll take a draw
I
for
said
sure. But
generally happy, right?
I don't know.
You've made Dennis
Is he
jump.
gonna? Is he still listening? Can we talk bad about him now that he's gone, or is he still listening? I don't know.
I'm always listening, Gary. Always listening.
No, I'll take the draw. I don't think we played We played particularly good today, and I think some of it was because we've got a mixture of new players in there, communication issues, but some of it was they just we. I mean, we're sloppy, you know.
Let me ask you a question then, right, Gary? In the next leg, would you field a similar team or would you put more of the first players in?
I think we need to win it. So at some point you're gonna have to. I think we would have to. I think we would get a little bit stronger for sure. I mean, I think if Ramsdale should play. I'll take Ramsdale behind that center back
In
pairing.
the next game, are we able to change anyone through the middle or are they all three? Is Trossard back? Is Eddie fit? Can we change anything there? Do you
I
know?
don't. I don't.
It's next week, right?
I don't think Eddie. No, I don't think Eddie's back. Because I do
Is
have.
Trossard back?
I was looking
No,
up.
are we stuck with having to field Martinelli? That's what I'm trying to find out here.
Yeah.
Because if you're not,
Yeah.
then that gives you more flexibility. Somebody like a Reece Nelson gives him somewhere else to go. If you get into that next leg and you start Saka and we go 3-0 up or something crazy happens, now you've got a Reece Nelson that you can bring in for
Yeah.
a Saka. Do you know what I mean? So
I think there's a 50-50 chance that Nketiah and Trossard come back.
okay.
So that's so it all depends. I mean,
'Cause I
ankle
thought
injury
Trossard was
and
like a precaution, right? A precautionary
it's
measure.
he felt something and that's when they pulled him out. So it's like it says growing
He's lucky, man. I've not
pelvic
felt anything
injury.
for years.
Groin.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's muscle injury and might need to set him. But no, I mean I think about it, if Erdogan is healthy, he'll play, right?
Mhm.
I get Fabio Vieira needs to play, but I think if you needed to close this thing out, we have to get stronger somewhere along the pitch, somewhere. I mean, I personally would have, like I said, I would have played Ramsdale behind that center back pairing. That's what I would have done. I think if we were to do that today, I don't think they would have got two
Would you
goals. They
start
might
with
have
like a
still scored.
stronger team, and if we do well, then you can bring in some of the back, or would you start with a similar team today with people ready on the sidelines to come in and you know what I mean,
I
try
would
and
do
dig it out?
similar because I think like I said, I would bring in Ramsdale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would. Yeah,
I would
I
bring in
agree.
Ramsdale
Ah,
for sure
yeah, but I think at this round he's going to stick with Turner again.
well, like I said, either you have a stronger pairing in front of him or you have Ramsdale behind, one of the two. So
Mhm.
either you bring Margolis back in or
Yeah,
you bring Ramsdale in. That's
I
what I
think
think in that sense.
Matt Turner notwithstanding, I think you're going to have stronger, the other 10 players stronger. Gabriel Magalhaes comes back. Partey probably starts as well. Well,
You
maybe
don't
not.
see him taking that Saliba. I mean, Saliba's playing a lot of games as well, right? Megale's come. Saliba's the younger one as well. He's
Yeah.
playing a lot.
Yeah. I think I agree with Gary in terms of we would want to go a little bit stronger for the second leg. Put it to
Yeah.
bed and move on,
Yeah.
What's
Because
the
I
league
mean, we
game
might
after that? What's the league game after that leg?
Crystal
Crystal
Palace.
Palace.
Okay.
So I
Which
mean,
Away,
still,
that's
away.
Crystal Palace. It's home. Crystal Palace is an easier game for us, right? And
well,
also it's
they've
easier.
given us some issues over the years.
They
No, but
have
I mean, compared to Fulham,
at
Yeah.
it's an
home.
easier game. Whether
Yes.
it's this big or that big, it's still
100%.
easier.
It's funny though. I
100%.
So
say I say at home like it's an advantage, and then I just remembered we keep more clean sheets away than we have at home.
yeah, but
So
We
we
clean
win. We
cleaner
win
away.
more at home. So I'll take the wins over a clean sheet any
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You
All
know.
right. So, yeah, I think the second leg, Gary and I would like to go a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Dan may start weak and then
because
have
like
the
you said, if
opportunity to go
Tierney's healthy,
stronger.
he plays, right? And Tierney
Yeah,
plays, and
yeah, for
Zinchenko
sure.
sits, right? So then
Mm.
the defense will be even that much stronger, right? So I think, yeah,
You
I
know,
mean that
if
that
you've
might
got
be why I
Trossard
mean by
and
go stronger.
Nketiah, that gives you more. If you've got
Yeah,
something there to use, that's more, isn't it?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. If Trossard's healthy, I mean, yeah, I mean, my thought was if they were going to do something crazy or silly, Jesus would be on the bench.
Okay.
You could even start Eddie through the middle, have Trossard on the left with Martinelli waiting on the bench for variety. Nelson's on the bench. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think, like I said, I think we played more towards them than we played our style. We didn't impose our style into this game, and we played more like they were comfortable. I think, like you think about, how teams are comfortable. I
Yeah.
don't think they felt threatened with the way that we were playing because we kept passing them the ball. We play if that was, for example, if we played the way we played today against Fulham. You think they wouldn't have missed the chances? They would have definitely taken advantage when they had the counters, when they had poor passes being made. And we've played games where we've been passing the ball to the wrong team, and that was how we played today. So I think um, we need to be we need to tidy that up for sure.
I also noticed one thing that I'd like to bring up because it's the same thing that people always used to say about El Neni, and this is about Jorginho. I spent a lot of time watching Jorginho today, and he makes a lot of forward passes. Yes, there are a couple of times or sometimes where he gets the ball and there isn't nowhere to go forward and he may pass it back. But he generally makes forward
Mm.
passes. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, okay, well, that's the end of that myth. Like El Neni, El Neni never passes it
No,
forward. He
no,
does.
Jorginho on the ball is close to is pretty close to Partey. So you're not missing.
Mm.
We don't lose anything when he has the ball at his feet.
But I was just saying that one of the main arguments I heard when we were signing him was, "Oh, he's shit. He always passes backwards or to the side.
Oh, I never
He's
heard
like
that.
Right.
El Neni. He's just like
Yeah.
El Neni," which I think
Yeah.
is another myth because
He's
I've
played a
watched El Neni.
couple of
Yeah, you
He
know what?
does
You know
pass
what?
the ball forward.
yeah.
Yeah, that might be partly true, but I
Hey
believe
Alonso.
like the stats that came up were actually showing
Yeah,
that
I saw him breaking
his
lines as well.
numbers.
He made like, some passes
Yeah,
that broke
yeah,
lines.
yeah.
And he's
His numbers are comparable, if not better, in some respects to Partey's on the attacking side. So, whoever said that they were wrong. I mean, people said,
Positioning
you know
looked
what?
good as well. His
Yeah,
positioning looked good. He was up close one time, and then the ball broke, and he didn't stay there hanging around. He dropped back, and invariably when he dropped back, he ended up picking up the ball and starting off again.
yeah.
Starting the play
Jorginho
off.
is useful. There's been a couple of forward passes in recent games that he's tried to slot Saka in on through balls, and he has that in his arsenal, if I can say
either
that.
Alonso.
And even if
Jord-
they don't pull off all of the time, I'm glad that he's thinking that way
Yeah.
what's
because
up,
at some point it's going
Alonso?
to work, right? And Saka's in, he got to go.
Exactly.
Alonso, don't use that name ever again. Yeah, I don't know.
He's laughing. He's laughing right now, Gary.
Stan started this thing, and it's just getting
Smell
really
this.
out of control right now.
But Alonso, you forgot to say hello to Dennis as well.
Yeah.
Hello there.
That's so remiss of you, Alonso. Jorginho and Partey have very similar stats with the ball. Hi, everyone in the chat, says Alonso. Okay, Don won a man of the match. I'm going to give it to Saliba as my nomination. Tony, for all of you out there who wants to know, Tony is very, very nervous about tomorrow, right? So
What's happening tomorrow?
He's got a big date with a doctor, and
Okay.
it's not a hot doctor, so he's nervous, So keep him in the back of your thoughts. That man, as Gary said, has gone through a lot of things with his body in the last few years.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Saliba for me, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. He did well. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else that really stood out as much as he did. I think Nelson actually played pretty well. Um,
Yeah,
I think he played actually. He played okay. He played well. I think he played well.
Nelson put some
Um,
good crosses into the box.
yeah,
Followed up that game on
yeah,
Saturday with some good work, and
yeah. No, I could go with Saliba. I mean, I think it was like I said. We weren't that good. We were really like we did not look good we got
Best of a
to it,
bad
but
lot.
yeah. He was definitely better. He was one of the better. I don't think he did anything wrong in that game where I went. I can't recall anything where I went, damn, Saliba. So I kind of felt like he played consistently good throughout the game. So yeah,
Alonso's on his way home. Unfortunately, I think he has a gum infection. It's killing him. He'll be on Sunday. Maybe
Mm,
take some for the pain before you get to sleep tonight, Alonso.
mm.
Saliba covered a little bit up for Jorginho in
Get
those
some Bonjela. That's what it is.
instances.
Bonjela.
Yeah, remember that one. I remember Bonjela. Scored the goal and my helped Kiwior, right? Let's just say that to varying degrees. And I'm going to give him man of the match. Gary concurs. Stan, Saliba, or anyone else for you?
I like Jorginho's performance. I thought because I spent a lot of time watching him, and I was like, okay, let's have a look at what this guy's about. And I liked what I saw there. I thought Vieira, teabag, whatever you want to choose. I thought he had a good game. But yeah, I think Saliba, because he managed to get a goal as well, which is always handy. And
Mhm.
it's a defender as well, a defender getting a goal. So yeah, I would
I've
go with
been I've been waiting for goals from Gabriel
hang on, hold
Magalhaes.
on. What's that, Dennis? Yeah, Dennis is going with Saliba as well. So it's unanimous from here. It's Saliba.
Gary, it's okay, isn't it? No,
I just
it's Dennis Bergkamp, club
I
legend.
What more do you want? Hang on a
I
minute. How many podcasts, right? Seriously, have
gosh.
fucking Dennis Bergkamp on as a
Exactly,
guest? I mean,
exactly.
you know,
We'll,
we don't
we'll
even
all
offer
have to
we don't even
bring
offer super chats on nothing, and we give you Dennis Bergkamp.
next Thursday night. We all have to bring a
Guest.
a guest.
Don't you dare say puppet or doll.
I
He
don't have
doesn't
any.
like that. He doesn't like that at all.
Where's your
Doesn't
right
like that.
hand, Stan? Where's your right hand right
You
now?
know what? This is where yeah. This is why I say let's just stop it because yeah. I mean
Okay, okay,
yeah
Sometimes I
yeah.
wake up in the middle of the night, right? And
No, no, it's okay, Stan. No, Stan, it's
he's just like
okay.
at the foot of the bed staring at me. Don't know how he gets out of his cabinet, but he's there.
Oh, I thought you were going in a different direction. All right.
yeah, he was. Yeah, you never
You
know with
you started
Stan.
to scare me a little bit, and I was like,
This
all
is
right.
maybe the
Dennis is
two
starting to scare me
shows
a
are
little bit.
He's
kind
got
of
like the Chucky feel, right?
the Sunday show and the Thursday night forum. Essentially the same thing, but Thursday night forum's a little bit different, right? A little bit different. I don't know. I don't know how to verbalize it, but it just is. Okay. Saliba gets man in the match. What are we saying about Fulham, Gary? What are we saying about Fulham?
Is it home or away? Sorry.
It is home. And okay, I'll start off, right? This is going to be the key to our march. Okay, it's pretty easy to say this. It's our toughest away game in the month of March.
Is it home?
It's away from home.
Oh, we're playing at Fulham.
We're playing at Fulham.
Craven
Yes,
Cottage.
yes, Craven Cottage. Cast your mind back to, was it September, when we got ourselves in a situation where we were a goal down, and I think we had to wait till the 87th minute until we won the game. I think again, courtesy of Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes creating havoc in their goal mouth. So, Gary, if we're gonna have any chance of being, we got to march before the run in, right? The run in is going to be April and May. But if we've got any chance, for me, we got to win this game.
We
Any
had to win,
chance?
as I said. I think coming in there was like what 7 or 9 games. We needed to win most of those games. Like
Yep.
maybe drop points in one of them. Then that might have been Liverpool into the run into City. So we need to win all these games. Like I believe we need to win all these games because the Liverpool and Man City games are going to be, that might be the difference.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. I'd rather not take that chance. I'd rather just like go into that Liverpool match, 5 points, go into the City game, 5 points difference as well. The only way we can do it is if we get the wins. As you say, we're better off on the road. So maybe we'll be able to steal 3 points from there. Fulham, just finished? They just lost 3-2. They were
At
They were
Brentford.
down 3-1 for a large portion of that game in the second half. Came back with a goal, I think. So no, we have to be clinical and we can't be sloppy with the ball. I mean, got it. And free kicks and corners, we got to defend them much better, right? I mean, all the little
Yeah,
things that we saw
yeah.
today, we need to do much better in the next one, or else we're going to be punished for it. I mean, everything we saw today that we need to work on, those are the things we've been seeing before. We just need to be, have to clean them up. We're going to get hopefully healthier. I don't know who's going to play on the weekend who didn't play today, but
Hmm.
hopefully some of those players that were out are ready to go on Sunday. Um, but yeah, it's going to be tough, and it's supposed to be tough. This isn't supposed to be easy. Nobody just gives you the trophy at the end, right?
Yeah,
Without a little bit of blood, sweat,
yeah.
and tears. So
This
yeah,
is this is a situation where we're going to play Palace next weekend after next Thursday after the second leg of the Sporting Lisbon game. We're going to play Palace at home. City this weekend go to Palace on a Saturday, I believe. City will go to Palace on a Saturday, and then we will have to reply to what City. Well, we're going to have to win, irrespective of what happens. If City drop points, happy days, but we have to expect City will pick up 3 points on a Saturday, and we have to go to Fulham and win there.
Dennis wants to know how many games have we got left this season to play?
12.
12. In a blink of an eye, man, we're going to be down to 10.
Mm-hmm.
We're so
Yep.
it's just edging away. We're edging so close. We've got a dozen games left to play, and the next one is coming up very soon. Fulham, Fulham, Fulham. They've got it in them. They're not a team, you know what I mean? I tell you, with Fulham, they kind of remind me a little bit of Southampton. They're what I call one of them jack in the box teams. One week they can get a hiding from a team that they shouldn't, and then they can go out the next week away from home to a team where you think they should maybe get a bit of a wallop, and they can come out on top or forge a draw. Do you know what I'm getting at? They're one of those
Yeah.
teams that they're very hard to predict where you think you're going to end up with them. But as I understand it, don't they have a couple of key players that might not make it, or a key player
Yeah.
that's out of form? Mitrovic, what's happening there?
I'm just about to check up on Mitrovic. I mean, he's had 11 goals and 1 assist in 20 games.
And
So,
as
yeah,
we've mentioned before as well, this is at home, no, at Craven Cottage. Sorry, away from home, we seem to be doing okay on the cleaner sheets
yeah,
as
yeah,
as well, right? And it's a nice
yeah.
ground, Craven Cottage. I quite like that as another
Mhm.
London ground.
Mhm.
It's a good atmosphere, but a draw's not going to be a draw. Wouldn't be the end of the world if you can bounce back. What you don't want is when you get into those clusters of losses, which we had that last season. Remember, we had the clusters, and if you look there, we've had one cluster, haven't we? What you've put up there, we've
Mhm.
had that lost, a draw, and a loss.
Yeah. Everton, Brentford, City.
We cannot afford something like that in the last dozen games. Maybe a couple of draws or another L, but you can't afford, to get something like that happening with City close behind. And
Yeah.
a game like Fulham is probably, Fulham away is probably a little bit more difficult than Everton at home, if that makes sense. Even though we know that Sean Dyche has those certain kind of tactics that he adopts, but the thing is with Fulham, they will come out and try and give you a game. Usually. Or will they? You know what some people are saying now, don't they? People are going, look how people play against Arsenal. Look at Newcastle. They stop playing their usual game and they try the low block. Are we going to get that? Are we going to get that respect again? Like, oh, it's Arsenal. Right, we can't go out, lads, and go at it. We have to be conservative. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach us, which is
Yep.
going to
I mean,
affect that's going to affect now how we have to play, right?
yeah.
Very
We're the
close
best team. We're
second.
the best team on the road. So if that just holds true, we just need to play our same our style of football that we've been playing, and we should be okay to get at least, like you said, hopefully not. I don't want to draw. I want wins because I just don't want to give City a chance.
As Thunder Road's saying here, I've been checking back trying to find Mitrovic, and he hasn't scored in the last few games.
I knew there was another player in their team that was
Solomon.
like a bright spark. I didn't know his
So-
name. Left winger.
He's the left winger, and Ben White would probably be up against him. We know about
I've never even heard of him before.
Willian would be playing on the right.
Willian's looking reborn. I've seen a couple of highlights. I watched Match of the Day highlights and that, and I've seen some Fulham games, and Willian's been like,
Yeah. So what Fulham are is a very workman-like defensive unit at the back. Tete's, we had trouble with him in the home game. He plays.
Do you think Willian can have some kind of some part in our story this season?
And we have Tim Ream, which I don't know if Gary, did you know you were talking about Ream earlier?
Yeah.
With the context that he's a Fulham player as well.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So you foreshadowed that a little bit. And we've got Bernd Leno, who'll be. Bernd Leno doesn't have any hatred for Arsenal, I believe, but he'll definitely be motivated to be professional.
So will Willian. I can see it now.
We got Willian. We got Solomon, who's coming in on a hot streak, but usually teams who come in a hot streak and players, that streak ends at some point, Gary. And so for me, Mitrovic is going to be the danger player.
No, our defense has been really good. I don't want to jinx it or anything like that, but we're one of only two teams who only give up nine away goals. So the other one, of course, is Newcastle. But we play really well on the road. So just to continue, it's going to come down to how we play defensively, and that's for us, that's how we've seen when we struggle there. That's the
who would you play at left back if Tierney and Zinchenko are fit? Who are you playing?
Listen, the way we play is on the front foot. And
Zinchenko
for me,
didn't have a good game today.
No, he didn't. But I think modern football is about getting 3 points and not 1 point anymore. But we get into a situation where we have 12 games to go. Maybe that mindset changes a little bit.
I feel at some point Tierney should be part of a game plan to get 3 points, not to get 1 point. You know what I mean? Like Tierney can put a cross in. We've seen him actually try to, move like Zinchenko and stuff like that. But we're giving up too many goals. We're conceded. Yeah. I think Arteta said it too. We're conceding too many goals. So
but the weird twist on that is like Gary's like we've given up loads of goals, but then you see the chart, and it's like Ramsdale is the second best keeper for clean sheets. Ahead of he's got 11 and the next guy's got 12.
Yeah,
but
I think we got more than the Invincibles.
You're like, hold on a minute. I get it. I get what you're saying, but
he's got more clean sheets than the Invincibles had. As a goalkeeper.
Well, I mean,
really?
Just thinking about So just think about it in the last.
What does that mean then? Are we expecting too much? Hold on a minute. So at this point, and the season's not finished, he's got more clean sheets than the Invincibles. Yeah, we both agree. We all agree. We've had a really good, keeping the ball out of the net on the road. It seems terrible at home, but then when you see the stats, the goalkeeper is like the second best in the league, and we're doing better than the Invincibles. So should we just? Well, I don't get it. I don't understand.
We've given up more goals than matches. That's the problem.
All signs point upwards, though. We're trending upwards, right? And I asked the question a few weeks ago: could this team potentially be better than the Invincibles?
Yeah,
we have to wait to see on that one. But it was interesting to have the conversation. Fellas, do you know it's the history of the Spurs? Are we surprised, really? What happened there, Gary? Did they score? Did Spurs score? Did a player get sent off? They were going in
second yellow.
Second
yellow on Romero.
Who got sent off?
Romero.
It was a defender, wasn't it?
Romero.
Right? Yeah. And he's a nasty piece of work, right?
Yeah, well, he's like a good defender, but he does stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So why the second yellow was ridiculous. There was no reason for him to put that challenge in. The ball.
No, Gary, there was no reason for it, but he was well glad. That it
It
happens.
made me laugh. It was like,
Yeah.
why? Well, it's like, okay, what do you do? Okay, if that's what you want to do, And the worst part, I guess the best part, or the funniest part, was he's laying there with the trainers around him, the physios around him, and the referee's just like, I got a yellow and a red for you. So whenever
Waiting, just waiting.
whenever you're ready to get up out of here, you're gonna get a yellow and then here's
Nothing
your
worse
red.
than getting that second yellow and red as you're on a stretcher. It's been waved over you. You're like, fucking hell, I'm dying here.
So yeah, no, that was just he made a really stupid decision on that point because he didn't need to. The ball, I mean, the ball's coming down the sideline, on the touch line, I guess there, and there's no reason for him to put that challenge in. It was just silly, and that's as they say, I don't know how do you say that word again, with the S word with the Y at the end.
Silly. Sorry.
No, but
Sexy.
what we're talking about, what's the name of that team?
Spursy.
There you go.
Spursy.
okay.
Yeah, that
Very,
one.
very
I
Spursy.
don't want
Yeah,
to
we
say
just
their
say the
name.
scum.
I don't even
You
say
can
that
say
either.
scum.
That's
We all know what you mean.
that is
Scum.
that's terrible to scum.
Scum
True.
doesn't deserve that.
True.
How dare you? Yeah.
Scum does not deserve that. Yeah. Sambo stands. Hopefully, the right players available to counter-react any problems that Fulham can create.
Yep.
And can I
Mitrovic,
answer that? Can I answer that then?
It's,
And my
it's
answer
direct,
to my answer
it's
to that
directed
would
to
be
you.
thank
Yeah.
you. My answer to that would be agreed, because we've seen now that so many teams have been changing how they play during the season when it comes to Arsenal. Like, you'd like to think that if I'm the manager, I'm looking at that and thinking, okay, we have a new thing in our training session. How to beat this low block defensive shit that we've been. This is what we do when we get it. So it doesn't become a mystery anymore, because when it happened at Everton and we got that 0-0 draw, and we had the Leicester game and then Everton again, I just wanted Leicester out of the way because I wanted to see what did we learn from that. Are we going to do anything? Because they're going to do the same old shit. And what did we do? Blew them off the park. I was like, 100%, man. Well done. So the thing is, we have to, if Fulham pull out that shit, we have to be ready. But this is the thing that teams are doing to us now. That has to be like we've got to go to when teams do that. We've planned for this shit. We're going to play our game, but if they start pulling out 2 banks of 5, then we go like this. So agreed, assembled.
Yeah. Assemble's got one for me now. Ray, are you trying to say this team is better than the Invincibles? Records are meant to be broken. Doesn't mean you're better, in my opinion. Yeah, listen, I agree with that. The Invincibles went unbeaten. We have not been unbeaten. We've lost 3 games this season. But on the other hand, we have got more clean sheets at the back. So
we won more games than they did at that point. So
yeah, we
win more than they do. So
they won the league with 26 wins and 12 draws, no defeats. Well, we should get more than 26 wins and less draws, and that's modern day football now. That's what Manchester City have pushed Liverpool to do, and Edu again in the All or Nothing documentary
But
said that's the standard we need to set ourselves.
But unless you win the league without losing the game, the Invincibles will always be better. The only way you can top that, is by winning the league again, unbeaten, but having less losses, I suppose, or less draws, or what have you. But I bet it's a good conversation to have. Another conversation is when we won the Invincibles, we went unbeaten. Okay, we could win the league this season, not be invincible, but could there be an argument? Are we playing a better style of football? It's a philosophy that this manager is bringing. And how does that compare to the manager that went invincible? That's another conversation. Because
the other thing as well,
can I just say, for me, I'm really enjoying the football I'm seeing. Not just the fact that we are top of the league, which is great. I've not seen us top of the league for so long, but I've been watching Arsenal play from just before the George Graham era. So I've seen lots of different styles, from going into the Rioch, then into the Wenger area, and then Emery, and now where we are. And I would say, looking at all of those eras, the Wenger era was mustard. It was really good, But some of the elements of what I've been seeing this season, it really gives me like a warm, tingly feeling for the future, because some of the football that we're playing now it really is some of the best stuff that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. You have household names for the Invincibles. You can name the first 10, 15 players, roll off the tongue, and they're all like well-established players in our mind as legends.
But you still need somebody like a Christopher Ray to be in there who chips
Yeah,
in with goal.
true.
And that's somebody like, for example, maybe a Reece Nelson, right?
Yeah. And
Because even if we win the Premier League this season, as I understand it, Reece Nelson, I think even if he may not even get a medal,
I think you
but
need to hit 5
he would
games
be an
now.
important part of it. He could, Davor Origi. Davor Origi for Liverpool doesn't play every week and that, but gets brought in and has scored some very. Davor Origi doesn't buy drinks in Liverpool. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, yeah. I've told myself in the last 10 years I'm never going to see another Arsenal team play like the Invincibles played. But here we are, and we're seeing a brand of football. And it has, I'm not going to mention the names of the players, but it has some players in this squad. There are some players you really ask yourself, Gary, are we going to win a league with some of these players in our team? And without picking on the players, because Riddy wouldn't like me mentioning his name, or Mr. Tom wouldn't like
Reddy's gone to bed.
or Mr. Tom
Go
wouldn't like
for
me
it.
mentioning a former Leeds player, as a striker. But can we really win the league with some of these players in our squad, Gary?
Oh, I mean, you can't. As long as we've been on top of the league for how long now?
A long time.
Yeah, so it's not like
And
so it's not like a blip. It's not like all
no,
of a sudden, it's not like people are falling down to us. No, we've been up there setting the standard and people have to catch us. So he's been doing his job just enough to get us where we want to be. When we need him to, I think when the issue comes up is when we need him to do a lot more or do more, just to say that. And his level just doesn't get us there. And that's when we find out, why he's just not the right one for us. But yeah, we can win it. And we're
yeah,
not winning it because of, we're not necessarily winning it because of him, right? We're winning it because we have Xhaka, Martinelli, Erdogan, Partey, Gabriel, Margalez,
the spine.
Saliba, Ramsdale, right? We have a
Yeah,
lot of, so that's why we're
8
winning it,
players. Yeah,
right? So, I mean, we
was
have a really strong core of like whatever 8 players that we depend on a lot more. Like I think
and
on, yep,
talented players, but also mentally strong. We're seeing this season, Gary.
yeah, we are resilient, right? Just
Mhm.
because like we've shown that we will come back. We've shown it multiple times now in the last how many games, right? Teams will go up on us, and it doesn't really matter. We have that's something that we didn't have before, right? Sometimes we fall behind, and the match is over, and we're like, are we gonna get? Can we at least get a shot, maybe, just to show that maybe we're gonna try to come back? Now we are getting the shots. We're not as clinical, but we're getting the shots, and we're getting opportunities to get back in the games, which we didn't have before.
Mhm.
So they're realizing you got to play through the tape, right? You got to play all
Run
90
through.
minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we are definitely doing that. We don't just stop playing because we go down. We continue to play all the way through until the match is over because you can win on the extra minute of extra time. So yeah, so I think yeah, that's something we didn't have before, and we definitely have it now, and teams know that. So now teams know that just because you go up 2 on Arsenal doesn't mean the match is over if you don't get one. We haven't seen us come back from 3, so 3 seems to be the
Right,
magic
Gary.
number right
It was
now.
heart attacks. Goes out. Right. Now come back from 3. Now come back from 4.
No,
That one
but you know what?
remind
But
me
you know
of
what? I don't. I think in
AC Milan
general, it's
2
us
years
that
ago.
needs to get that third goal. So,
Yeah,
and no matter what happens, we should be getting at least a third goal every time. We're good enough to do
I,
that in a
yeah.
match. Yeah.
Um,
Can I say something, please? So here's
no,
what people have to understand, right? And when I say people, I'm not talking about Arsenal supporters. I'm talking about pundits that are looking at us and fans of other teams. This is what they have to understand. We're not in a situation where we've been going through all of these games like in third, fourth place, getting into third, getting into second, going down to third, and then finding ourselves in first position with maybe a 1 or 2 point lead. What people have to understand and have to acknowledge is that we've been doing this since day one of this season.
Mhm.
Since day one of this season, we have been at the top. We've not been scrabbling and jockeying, and now it's like, can Arsenal hang on? They've now got into first position with a point or two. We've been there. We've been in charge of our own destiny, and the lead point, the point spread has been healthy. It was five. It's five, right? 2 points
Since
at
before the
Brentford.
World Cup, it's been 5. Yeah.
Yeah, the points at one point it was 8, right? One point we was
Yeah, I
8.
got the 8 points.
So you have to give us credit. You have to give us credit. We've not been scrabbling. We've been setting the bar since day one of this league, and that has to be acknowledged. And that's no fluke. We're at the stage now where you can't say, well, they're fluking it, man, because we've not. The only time that we went to second place was on goal difference for like a day or so, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Remember?
with City, when City beat us. Yeah,
For a day or so, and then back. So
back at the weekend.
we've been in the driving seat since day one, and I think that's big. That has to be acknowledged, and that is really good for the players.
At this point, maybe looking back at the Aston Villa game where Jorginho scored the double doink, you say, off the crossbar and off of Martin's head. That may be very vital because that was the weekend after
Dennis loved
losing
that.
to
He
City.
liked that.
Yeah. Here, post World Cup, as Stan said, we've been 5 points clear of City thanks to Brentford. Right before the World Cup started, Brentford beat City at their place.
When I mentioned Brentford, I was thinking, because as well as we're doing, the most negative thing for this season in my mind, I've got this thing at the back of my head.
Those 2 points.
Those 2 points. And I can't as well as I'm enjoying our football, it's always there.
Yeah.
That Brentford thing. And at the end of the season, I'm praying to whatever God is listening to my prayers that is not going to hurt us.
Did we get those 2 points back?
I feel so vexed about that, man.
Did we get those 2 points back on Saturday against Bournemouth?
No.
The man sat down. The time was added on.
No. Those points haven't been given back to us yet. If we play City and it's 1-1 or something like that, and we put a ball and it goes off KDB's head and bounces in for a goal, then we maybe got the 2 points back.
Yeah.
If you ask me right now, Stan, what is your low point of the season? What is the thing in the season that you've hated? It was that decision.
Yeah. Mason, the referee. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear he works at Tesco's now.
Hey, we're going to get back to Fulham.
Gathering up trolleys from the car park.
Fulham very briefly, but that 3-2 win, Stan, what your 3-2 win against Bournemouth, that goal for Reece Nelson.
Something about that game that I enjoyed the most is that every single one of the substitutes that came on done something. Scored, assisted, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Partey scored a goal. Ben White scored a goal. Reece Nelson assisted and scored. That for me is a good statement that you sometimes in the game you bring on a substitute and they're just there to make up a number and just trot around. Every substitute came on and made a meaningful contribution, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, we're getting contributions from the squad all over the place.
Yeah.
Are we riding our luck a little bit?
Yeah.
Rival fans have been saying that. We've been lucky. Everything we do has been lucky. Everything that's happened to Arsenal.
Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. Well, I'll take it, but I think we'll say the same thing about.
Does that mean then for the last however years we've been unlucky?
Yeah, maybe.
So,
maybe.
I mean, City has gotten lucky, right? They don't win every game cleanly and easily and all of that. Things just fall to them.
What I liked about it as well,
I remember when I was a little kid, I remember adults saying to me, "You make your own luck in this world, Sam."
Yeah.
So
Or Arnold Palmer used to say, "The harder I practice, the better I get." You know what I mean?
Arnold Palmer. I
Yeah,
like that.
golf
Right?
player, right?
Sevi
Um,
Ballesteros.
yeah. The celebrations in that stadium was probably the best celebrations on Saturday.
Good. I'll talk about that when you're done. I've got good. I'm glad you brought that up. A good
Okay. Now you got to
topic.
mention the Richter scale because I think it measured 1.0 on the Richter scale, Gary.
That was a wind up.
Was it really?
That wasn't real. Unfortunately, I heard it was a wind up, but that would have been good if that was true.
Why
That
didn't you
would have
just
been
let me
good.
believe that? Why didn't you just let me believe that?
But I
No.
just wanted to make a point there about this celebration thing. I mean, I've seen people put together streams of places all around the world, pubs, in the street, in train stations, in the stadium. Football was invented to be the sport of the working man. Back in the days where men worked in fucking factories and warehouses and
Mhm.
fucking forges and whatever, and that was their joy. That was the way to say, back in the old days, it was the gladiators that the Romans would put on for the peasants. Go and entertain yourselves. Have a day to be good. So why are they stopping this joy? Well, the way that game was played and where
Yeah.
Arsenal are, right? We're in a situation where we haven't won the league in how long? The fans are
19.
invested in this. The players are invested in this, and then you win in the manner that you do in that second. How do you contain that emotion? The emotion, the elation, and you're going to get looked at for that. We're not inciting a riot.
Yeah.
We're showing our joy, and then you see on the same weekend that a captain, Fernandez for Man United, can push an official, but because the official didn't make a complaint about it, the FA will not retrospectively do any punishment because they say, well, we can only retrospectively punish something if the ref missed it. This
Mhm.
ref didn't miss it. He made the notes, he discussed it and decided to let it go. But I don't care about that.
That doesn't
I don't
actually
care.
sound
What
that
message is that sending?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go like, no, 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 no. So you put those two things together and you're trying to promote the best league in the world, the joy, the happiness, and we're going to get chastised for having a release, the elation, the release. I could listen, if I was playing on that team, I mean, you should have seen me in my sitting room. My landlord's going to be, no, well, we're kicking you out. You're too happy when your team scores. You can't show that joy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, if I'm doing that in my front room, imagine what the players like who scored the winning goal.
Uh,
The relief of his
I
teammates.
was.
There's a teammate that made a mistake maybe earlier. I was thinking, oh, I fucked up there. He just got you out of jail. I mean, we're humans, right? We're not fucking robots, and that's what they're going to look at us for. Really,
Yeah.
I
Listen,
just don't get that. What are you trying to promote?
I'm glad you brought this up, Stan, because I was thinking about this through the week, and somehow with time you lose your frustration, right? People telling you to relax, you lose your cool, you know.
I can
Um,
understand it if our players were going like, they ran over and they dropped their shorts and started mooning and went, and I'm like, okay, mate, what the fuck, They're just, all they were doing is celebrating the joy at the last minute of the game. It's finished. What are they supposed to do? Really? What is it that you want them to do? I think every time we score a goal, everyone should go into the centre circle and just bow their head. And then we start again. What do they want?
Gary,
It's ridiculous, mate.
I said something to the effect, I know the Premier League is such a huge product, Gary, and so big and monstrous, and it's a juggernaut that even if they try to do everything they can to ruin the game for the supporters, they're still going to be the most popular game in town, right?
Fernandez, man.
Premier
Hasn't
League.
it been Fernandez?
Yeah, but
Pushing the official, man. Come on.
the
It's on
the
camera.
FA
It's on
the
camera.
FA
What you're saying is kids are younger age or grassroots or whatever. You're just saying like, well, you can do that. You can do
yeah,
that.
It
that's what they're
doesn't.
saying.
You know what? It doesn't
Sorry, Gary, I
matter.
didn't mean
It
to step
doesn't.
on you there,
No,
but
no, it doesn't
I'm just pissed
matter.
off of this.
It doesn't matter if the official puts it in his paperwork or
Paolo Di
not.
Canio.
No, think about it. It doesn't
Mm.
matter if he does that. You're telling me it's okay to put your hands on an official, and no, 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 no. That's like saying it's okay to spit on someone. It's okay to kick him in the groin, punch him in the head. All these things are okay, regardless of whether they're in the report. Are you kidding me? Nah, nah, not at all.
And the
Not at
two
all.
things happening in the same weekend
Yeah.
when referees are being looked at across the game. That's like saying, I'm gonna put you in jail because you walked out of the shop because you forgot to pay for an item. But I'm not going to put the other guy in jail for running this guy over on purpose and he was drink driving. I'm getting at? It's like,
Inconsistency.
you know, you're
Yeah.
celebrating a goal. What's the harm in that, for fuck's sake? What's the
Yeah.
harm in
Yeah.
being
So
happy?
they want to police you when you're celebrating a goal, when you're enjoying your
But when
team
you're pissed
winning.
off at the
There's a lot on
situation
the line.
when you're pissed off at the situation in a game, it's okay, right? If you're upset with you're losing what six,
Crazy.
7-0, it's okay to take it out on the official. It's
Yeah.
okay to
Makes
beat
no
up.
sense.
It's okay to put your hands on an official. He wasn't doing it like, it wasn't like the official got in the way or something like that. He was frustrated.
If you're
And
going to do
I think I did see that. I believe Bruno isn't playing. I believe he might
Well,
be
he
sitting
played
out.
tonight. He scored tonight.
Oh, did he?
Who would
Yeah.
you say was the most important player that Arteta has made, Stan?
has made.
Maybe like he's improved. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I need to give that. Give me a couple of minutes to
Oh,
percolate.
it's
Good
easy,
question.
man. It's
Saka.
Xhaka, man.
Xhaka's been
Xhaka.
rehabilitated.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do
I was
better
looking.
than
I was
Xhaka,
thinking of a
but
young player for some reason, but as soon as you said
Mm.
Xhaka, I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. The
there's nobody
rehabilitation.
else. It's not even close. I mean, think
The
about it.
Gary.
rehabilitation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
So, so it's come to light, Gary, that
agree.
in the summer, Arteta told Granit Xhaka he's going to have to improve in order to stay in the team. Do you think Granit Xhaka needed that talk to be better?
he did because he wasn't doing it otherwise. I mean, it wasn't as if Arteta wasn't showing confidence in
Yeah.
him and trust in him because he was still screwing up and Arteta was still playing him, right? Arteta said, I'm going to, I don't care what happened before I got there. I saw that, everybody saw the tape. So Arteta definitely saw it in some respects, but he said, I don't care. And he looked at, it's like a captain backing up another captain to a sense. And, I like I said, I don't like when Arteta will go out his way for Xhaka, but for Pepe, who's a more talented footballer, he can't figure out a way to get him to play some proper football for Arsenal.
Well,
I don't see how you can back up and put all that confidence into a Xhaka who lets you down sometimes, but then a Pepe who needs your support as well. You don't give him the same.
was
He's
Pepe,
talented footballer,
was he
and
coachable?
he's really quiet and all of that kind of stuff, so he
Yeah.
doesn't really cause problems.
Introverted.
But you don't
Yeah.
give him the confidence and the trust from you to go out there and perform. I don't feel like he did that.
Yeah.
But could it not be a case, Gary, that you're saying to the player, "This is what I want you to do in this position. This is what I want you to do," and then he
Mhm.
puts him on, and then if you're the manager and you're watching him and you're thinking to yourself, "He's not. He's doing the fucking opposite of what I asked him to do."
Yeah.
Does that make you think, well, I can't deal with this guy? And this is what I'm telling him to do this, but he's doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just guessing. I'm not saying that was happening. Or could
What
it be a case, of, like some managers, they're like, look at him during the week and they're like, he's just not, he doesn't look engaged. I'm watching this guy during the week in training and he doesn't look engaged to me. And it might be okay that he comes on the pitch and he's doing little bits here and there, but I don't trust this guy because he just doesn't look engaged. He doesn't look like I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'll give you an example. Nicholas Anelka, right? I heard I can't remember what football player. I think it might have been Tony Adams or Alan Smith, a book of a football player at the time, and they were talking about Nicholas Anelka, and they were saying that they were going to an away game somewhere, and they were all sat on the coach ready to go, but Nicholas Anelka wasn't anywhere to be found. And they were waiting for Nicholas Anelka, and Arsene Wenger had to get off the coach, find Nicholas Anelka, and literally coax him to get on the coach. And he said that Nicholas Anelka, he got on the coach, got a seat on his own, put his headphones on, and didn't talk to anyone for the journey. Doesn't mean he's not a good footballer, but
Mhm.
it seemed like it was difficult for him to integrate.
And look,
So could
and
it be things like that that's happening? I don't know, but there's all these other aspects, and Mikel Arteta is thinking he's just not part of the team. He needs to be. I want a team. This is who I am, and it's okay that you can fucking do scorpion kicks into the goal, but you're always on the periphery, and I don't like that. I want everyone, and you see that the way that this team is, the celebrations when a player fucks up. They don't get berated. They get a chin up. They get a slap on the
Well, you
bum.
just said it right there. They don't get berated and stuff, but when somebody like a Pepe needed that, who was coming to support him? Nobody.
Well, we
So
don't know behind the scenes, but I'm just
so
putting it
but
out.
I'm
I'm
saying
saying devil's advocate.
you're
You know what I'm
talking
saying?
about it because you saw it, right? You're not talking about it because it might have happened. Why would you bring it
yeah,
up?
he
Because
was. He wasn't getting into the
you can't
side.
bring it up and then it's not. You've seen it. You've seen it.
That's how I kind of feel, but I don't know it to be true. I'm just saying maybe
Yeah.
this, maybe that, but
No,
I'm just trying to
like I said, I kind of felt like he didn't get the same kind of level that the comfort level that he needed that he gave to Xhaka. That's what I feel. And none of us can prove any of this stuff, but I kind of felt like that's what happened there
someone like Xhaka has more of a stamp on the team than Pepe
because
does.
he's given that by the coach. If I pump you up,
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna
even
you're gonna
before
give me back
before
something.
Arteta
But if
arrived,
I
remember
piss you
Unai
off,
Emery, who you choose to
Stan,
be the
Stan, if I
captain?
piss
They all
you off,
wanted Xhaka.
are you gonna be backing me? Are you gonna show up and do your job? You're gonna be pissed.
The other thing is, Granit Xhaka is quite outspoken in the dressing room. We've even seen him say things on the All or Nothing documentary.
And if he was saying the wrong things and Mikel didn't like it, he'd have been gone. So he's
In the
obviously
All or
saying the right. He's obviously saying things that Mikel likes, right? Because he'd be gone.
watch Pepe in the All or Nothing documentary. You don't see him very much, but he's in the squad at times, but you don't
You
hear
always see
or
him
see
peeping
very
out
much
from
of
behind
him.
a bush.
Yeah, he was probably already checked out at that point. Now, Gary, you know I like Pepe. There's some truth to that. He wasn't doing what Arteta wanted him to do, and he was very rigid. What Arteta's asking his players to do is very rigid, and we're seeing the
You're
results.
telling me that he made sure that he found a spot for Xhaka away from the goal.
Shaka
He
will
didn't
do
have to
what
defend, and he put him in a situation where he didn't have to do the things that were punishing him. Whereas Pepe was asked to, and you recall this, to track back and do all these things that he wasn't really good at. But he was good on the ball doing certain things, and
yeah.
he wasn't put in that situation to do it. So I always look at it that way and go, you know what? You bent over backwards. You did everything you could to get Jacques in a position where, guess what? You don't have to defend. You don't have to track back. You don't have to support. The the center backs on the
Stopgap.
pitch,
Well,
right?
Shaka
And
does have
and
to track
Stopgap.
back.
For
no,
me,
but
I
they
think it's
pushed
a
him
stopgap.
further away from the goals, Ray. You know this. He
Yes.
doesn't play back.
Yeah.
He doesn't play back as far as he used to because he's vulnerable back there, and he opens things up for the defense. So I kind of feel like
It's
nah.
a
And
stopgap,
the other
right?
thing, I think we
Hang on,
ask
hang
our
on.
wingers to do a lot of work as well. That's the thing. That Pepe was a winger, and we asked him to
It's a
do.
stopgap, right? Because he wants a formation with he's now graduated to that one pivot where it used to be a double because we didn't have the right players to play the single.
Yeah.
Now he's got Partey,
Single.
the 2 8s. I think that he looked at the team, he's bringing in Partey, he's thinking, well, I'm not playing Xhaka as that fucking single pivot. That's where Partey's going, right? I'm going to put Partey in here. And he goes out and spends 32 million on Teabag because Teabag, I think, and we're seeing it, is the heir apparent to that position. Until he's ready completely,
There's a couple.
he's playing Xhaka there, but you're
Mr.
seeing it now,
Broken play
right?
there right
Remember, I said it
now.
on the last. I said it
There
on
is
the,
a couple.
two podcasts ago. We were talking about that role, and I said we're seeing. I said, haven't you noticed how Xhaka is now gradually being taken out of games
Yeah.
and Teabag's coming in? And I
Yeah.
said, I think it's going to be only a matter of the next couple of games where you're going to start seeing
So-
Teabag starting in that position. And a couple of you went, I can't remember who, they went, no, I'm not so sure. And we're seeing it. And I think in Arteta's mind, his heir apparent for that position in that formation is Teabag.
I
And
wonder
he's gradually working towards it.
now.
He's gradually working
That
towards
may
it.
be-
Come next season, Xhaka will be on the bench.
Yeah,
If
that
it
may
works
be the
out.
case. That may be the
If
case. And you
it
may be
works
right.
out, and Arteta believes that Vieira's grown as he's wanted him to. But this is what we're seeing, and I believe that what you're seeing in Xhaka is he's a placeholder.
Yeah, that probably is the truth, Stan. The other thing it could be is that Jack is getting tired as the season is stretching on. Who knows? It probably is Fabio Vieira. Okay, who does someone know who was the most important player that Arteta has signed instead of made? So
Signed is easy as well.
yes, Partey, Gabriel Magalhaes.
No, you don't. You just stop. You don't even. Why are you going past Partey? There's no.
I wanted to give you some
There's
options.
There's no options. It's just you just no.
Thomas Partey. Yeah, I'll agree with that, Gary. I'll definitely agree with that.
But
Thomas
it's
Partey.
difficult though because I see what you're saying in one sense, but he's missed something like 39 games for Arsenal.
He's missed a lot.
Yeah, but it's the
39.
most important
That's like a
signing.
season.
But you know what?
That's a season, isn't it?
But that is a player that if he could find two of them, he would be set.
So then you could also look at Gabriel Jesus, right? Because obviously before the injury, we all saw the dynamic that he brought to the team, and we were like, okay, you know, other than the tactical stuff, the personality, the impact, you know, he's won stuff. You could say that was important, but now because he's missed games, we're like, well, we can't see it now. So we've only had a snapshot.
Most important player.
So what I'm getting to is Martin Odegaard for me is a good shout.
If we don't
He's
protect,
captain.
Wow.
if we can't control our midfield, it doesn't matter where Jesus is playing.
I'm going for Odegaard. He's had a longer period of time. He came on loan as a tryout, and he was so good that he was brought back, and he's the club captain. And as much as I get what you mean, that Partey's role, that position in the team is important. If you're playing a single pivot, you've got to have someone in there that can handle it. And he does that. But as I say, he's missed a lot of time out.
Yeah.
So we haven't had the full benefit of it.
Whereas
Whereas Martin Odegaard...
You're sitting in the top of the league. Why? Because Partey hasn't been as injured as he has in the past.
The games we've lost.
The games that you're talking about that he missed the last season, we're not missing them right now. We've been lucky so far.
But the question was, who do you think is the most important?
We don't have Partey. We're not sitting top of the league.
Here's the thing, Stan, as well, which backs up. I take what you're saying with Odegaard, but backs up what Gary's saying. The 3 games we lost, Partey has not been on the field when we conceded those goals. You know, so that's important.
I'm not saying I disagree because I do think he's an important signing, but I just want to be a little bit argumentative and put
There's
no reason to be argumentative. That's like almost saying who's the best striker Arsenal ever had. You're not gonna. There's no competition. There's one answer. There's just one answer.
It would be really boring if Gary went Thomas Partey for A, B, C, D, whatever, and then Stan and I go, yeah, exactly what Gary said. Anyway, the next.
Right.
So I've got to put in.
Man, it's okay to do that.
But I do have belief in what I'm saying about Odegaard. It's a good shout for me.
I got a shout for you, Gabriel Magalhaes.
Because we have multiple players. Because Saka, in his own right, could be in that same conversation. Because Saka, in his own right, has been every goal that he's scored puts us ahead or draws the game.
Sure, but we didn't sign him. That's
inherited him.
Oh, signing. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I say no to Megalegs, because as much as I do like him, there are some errors that need some kinks in his armor now and again, some creases that need to be ironed out. So I still think that there's more to come.
This year?
He's had a couple of mistakes.
He's been with us.
Yeah. No. This year though, right? I mean,
he's had a couple of mistakes.
So what I'm saying is,
when Odegaard disappears in games, you don't count that as important. That's poor performance.
He may become that because he still has to get over these little things that in his game, right? It's not. Whereas Martin Odegaard for me is just like, he
has the same skeletons in his closet.
The game,
he's not perfect either. He has
Gary's
the same
right.
skeletons.
Gary's right. There is some deficiencies in Odegaard's game. There's
a lot of deficiencies in Partey's if he can't play for the whole season, right?
Yeah, you're
don't get
he's not when he's on the field, you don't see do you see those deficiencies as much?
But you see when he's not on the field. And he's had like
it's
like Kieran Tierney, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like we want to see more of Kieran Tierney. We wanted him to be our captain for at one point.
We did,
and then today he gets the opportunity to play, and he's got the shits or whatever it
No,
is. He's got an
we
illness.
didn't make
Don't
top
give to me.
4 this time last year. We didn't make top 4 because we lost Tierney for that Crystal Palace game,
That's
and
Tierney
we
and
lost
Partey.
Partey as
If
well.
you're the manager of a
Two
football
of
team,
those
right,
players.
and you're looking at, the board, we've got the 11 positions and you're putting the names up. If you're the manager, no matter how good a player is in your team, if you can't count on him to constantly put his name on the board for each lineup, he's no good. It doesn't matter if he's Pele, if he's going to miss 20 games a season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at?
Well,
Or he's Maradona. You have to have that consistency. And I'm worried that with Partey, he's missed some really important and vital games. Yeah, he's great when he's with us. Fantastic. But
and
we've not got the
think-
full benefit of him because he keeps,
I think he's played a lot of games this season. Thankfully, I think it was 24 the last 2 seasons is a number in the Premier League. So far,
Is it 39 games that he's missed since he's been with us? I thought I
Yeah,
heard
39
38.
is right. It's 39.
Wow,
he's
that's
missed, yeah. He's
how
missed
many
a
seasons has he
season.
been with us?
3, 4.
So if he's been with us for 3 seasons, basically, out of 3 seasons, we've got 2 out of him then, because 39 games is a season and 1 game, right?
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
That's not good, is it?
Definitely.
That's not good.
Here we are, though, with 12 games left in the Premier League, and he's sitting on 21 matches. So he's almost hit that 24 mark, and hopefully he exceeds that 24 mark. Yeah. Fingers crossed. But
Yeah.
we do have Jorginho.
That's tight.
This is when you're assembling a squad, we have players who can. We won't miss Partey as much. We haven't missed Partey as much because we've got Jorginho. We're not going to miss Gabriel Jesus as much because we've got Eddie Nketiah. That was a joke.
But the worry is though, if you've got a Jorginho and a Partey, and you've got a case of okay, I've got to take Partey out for a couple of matches, I'm going to put in Jorginho. You can maybe get away with it, like an El Neni. Got to put in. But if you've got to do a situation when it's like, okay, Partey's out, I've got to play Jorginho for 2 months.
Right.
What will his game shot look like for after 2 months? It's all right playing 1, 2, 3, and then he's out. We get Partey, and then he comes. You know what I'm getting at? And the snapshots are
completely. And that's the reason why I think we have a situation with Trossard. He was able to come off with maybe a minor injury, didn't have to play through it and be injured for a longer amount of time. Trossard may be available for Sunday. Who knows? Steven said Arteta was put into positions where he was always going to fail. Pepe was at his best inside, but Arteta pushed him outside as far away from goal as possible, where his talent was not suited. And I think part of this is Pepe never...
So it's not a case of
he didn't integrate.
But from what I get, what he's saying there, not on the personality side, but just looking at him as a number, as in a football player that played on the right hand side, he didn't play the game that Mikel Arteta wanted from that position.
Yeah.
Not his fault. Unless maybe he could have tried to adapt more, but obviously that didn't happen, or else he'd be here, right?
Yeah, and look, we're probably in a better position now because of everything that happened, right? Yeah. The bigger implication.
It's still going to be interesting to see that at some point he can't be on loan forever. He's either going to have to come back to Arsenal, or we're going to have to get money for him.
Yeah,
and I'm not looking forward to, but I wonder how much money we will get for him compared to what we committed to him. Doesn't matter how much we've paid or haven't paid yet. We committed to a figure, so it's going to be interesting to see how that gets resolved.
25 million would be acceptable.
25 million for who?
Pepe.
That's like one installment. Remember the installments were broken down. That was like they were 25 million each. That's like one installment.
I mean,
thanks.
Can we really expect anything more? He's having a decent season, 6 goals from 16 games.
It's bad.
Yeah, but
I don't blame him. I blame the people that did the deal.
Yeah, and they're not here to take
Raul
for it. So
right, Raul.
Yeah, I mean we need to get something for him because we're not going to play him. Like if you can't play him, then he's not worth it. So gotta let him go.
Anelka needed another year at
He just
Arsenal.
said,
A wonderful
he
player.
said, how much? I said 72 million. He's like, Arsenal only paid 7.5 million for me.
1/10. 1/10 that value. A wonderful player would have blossomed. Ferdinand said he's one of the best players he came up against in the Premiership alongside Owen. There's that Rio Ferdinand. I mentioned him earlier in the podcast.
And that's the crazy part, right? So
Big Anelka fan. Loved him.
to become like a legend in the game, you got to have multiple things. You got to have the talent. You got to have, I would say, the availability,
Desire.
and you got to have the mindset as well, right? And
Mhm.
Owen didn't have the availability, just like Jack didn't have the availability, and Anelka didn't have the mindset to
Mhm.
want to continue to be really good at what he played, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
We
Yeah.
sold Anelka before he matured. Yeah, he's the sulk and he has his issues, but
Yeah, but did he
yeah,
ever do anything,
we,
Stan?
he left Arsenal before he'd matured. We had him as a young kid who was shy and introverted, who would sit on the coach with his headphones on. He doesn't do that now, but we never got the benefit of that because we sold him at a profit.
did we get the best of him? Did he
Yeah.
go out and do it?
No.
Where was he at his best, Stan?
Well, he was it. How long? He surely when he was
You
at
can pick
Madrid
any of
and that,
9 clubs, one of 9
Madrid?
clubs or 10 clubs he was at.
Madrid
You know?
done very well there.
Probably Real Madrid, yeah.
You know,
But that was when he was
had
a
him at his
raw
very
teenager.
youngster. It's like us selling Barco Sacco tomorrow, and then 6 years from now, he's doing all of that, and we're like, well, yeah, we never had him at that point. We had him when he was a
but
young kid, behind the years.
that's on the player at the time, right? I
Didn't we
mean,
sell Anelka? Anelka was
like
younger than Saka when we sold him.
Gnabry wasn't working for us, right? And we let him go, and look where it turned out for him. So
Yeah.
it's gotta be a perfect storm for it to work out, right?
Yeah,
And
but
you
when you buy a player for 500,000, and someone wants to offer you 23
22.
million or 22 million,
Whatever.
and you can buy Thierry Henry for 11.5 million.
Makes sense.
It's fucking happy days, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and he was a kid. He was being
did we
advised by
did we
elder
miss him?
people.
Did we miss him?
No.
We didn't miss
No,
him.
I'm
So
just saying we never got him at his best time.
Well,
it didn't
Gary,
matter those stands.
good
So
imagine,
good business.
Gary, imagine if Anelka had stayed at Arsenal and we got Thierry Henry. I know the two things wouldn't have
maybe
happened.
that's
But-
the thing. It probably wasn't going to happen.
It probably happened.
Why
in
would you go out
in a
and get? Why would
multiverse
you go out and
somewhere
get a
else?
player
It
you already?
happened.
Why would you go out and get a player you think you already got?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't
And-
it? Another
Why-
multiverse.
why-
right,
we're not gonna
that
go spend-
happened, and they
we're not
won the
gonna go-
league.
Yeah, we're not going to go out and spend money to get a right winger, right?
Dennis.
A right young winger.
Yeah.
Who's leading his team, right? We're not going to do that because we got one already. So
Dennis could tell some stories about Henry and Nicolas Anelka as well. Anelka was very young. He was a Madrid supporter. And he wanted to, he's being poorly advised by his brother, who was.
But you said he played for 9 teams, and he was a world class player. That doesn't
I don't know
sound
if
like
he ever. I don't know if he ever had it there.
no.
I
But
don't
what
know
I'm
if he-
saying is, that's why I'm saying, well, his
He's
mindset
played for a
and
lot
his
of the big
heart
heads
as
in the
well,
Premier
right?
League, right? Except Man United.
He played for City. He played for West Brom. He played for Liverpool.
That's a sign of a player that just isn't gonna. It's not.
Yeah.
It has to be perfect.
Balotelli.
They have to want to be in it, right?
Yep.
They have to be
Exactly.
in it, not the right team. right?
Guendouzi's going to be the same style. I've said it before. I see Guendouzi having that similar trajectory. Talent,
Yeah.
but always moving around because of this or that, or the porridge is too hot, the porridge is too cold.
So Arteta has. I'm not here to big up. Maybe I'm here to big up Arteta a little bit, but not really.
Why
He
not?
hasn't really. He's in any situation. He's probably picked the right. He's made the right choices, right? When it comes to players.
He's picked his players. He hasn't molded some of the players, like players that maybe were talented and maybe needed a little bit of care and stuff like that. He's just gotten rid of it when he couldn't figure out how to get it to work.
It's a business.
Well, look at
Yeah.
Ben White, isn't it? Buys him
You know?
as a centre back, plays him as a right back. That's all,
Yeah.
That's all Mikel
It's,
Arteta,
it's
isn't
a
it?
business. I see Liverpool as a close knit team. I see City as a very professional, cold-hearted team. But they all of the players in those teams have had to toe the line and be disciplined and excel at what they're doing. And that's what we're doing here at Arsenal, Gary, this season. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, different ways to handle it. Different ways to
he
get
has
to get
Arteta
where
has
you want to
done
be.
things. Arteta has done things that certain fans have not liked. He sold players that we've liked. He sold Joe Willock. I like Joe Willock as a player, but you know, in the long term, I don't think there's anybody who's left that we're saying we made a mistake with. You know what I mean?
Well, because they have to fit a certain mold, and that's why they are gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
But
mean,
that mold,
for me, if you're gonna do that, then just you're gonna have to spend extra because now you're not gonna take some of the players you do have that might you might be able to get something out of them because they don't meet certain criteria. You know what I mean? So it's going to take longer to get to where you want because you're constantly looking for that one player, right? Like we went out there, we got Tavage. Turns out he's not the right player for us, right? You know, went
it's.
out there and got Zombie. Turns out he's not the right player for us.
Do you think there's a situation where Tavares could come back and
Uh,
be backup for Zinchenko?
No, no,
Okay.
no. I mean,
Do you
no,
think
because
that?
as much we complain about Zinchenko's defense,
Hmm,
we were complaining about his. You think his defense has gotten better because he left? I mean, all we talk about is the scoring that he's doing out there. He's not
yeah,
playing
yeah.
in a similar structure to come to
What
this team and do well.
what do you see for Kieran Tierney? I know there was some talk about him a little bit earlier.
If we're not going to utilize his skill set, then he has to go, and that's what Arteta does,
Does he
right?
seem
Like there's
unhappy?
games where you're like, well, this is probably a perfect game for Tierney to come in there because we need to be a little bit solid on the back line there, and we don't do that. So Arteta, I look at what Arteta does, and if he can't bring Tierney into a game, for example, maybe against a City or a team that we might feel threatened by, then we're never going to play him, and that's what's going on. Like if you can, like he's not going to play him. Like he'll bring in Jorginho easy. He'll bring in Trossard easy. That's when I see that, then that means he's got a certain thing that he's looking for. If he doesn't
Mhm.
find it or he doesn't have it, he won't go out his way to play them just because they do offer something. He just won't do it. And you're like, why are you just sitting there wasting away on the bench,
Are they
right?
better on the ball, Trossard and Jorginho? Is that
Yes.
the criteria he's looking at?
In
You
those
know,
particular
comfortable.
areas, definitely, yeah.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
why. Zombie doesn't work there because he doesn't want anything to do with that ball. He wants nothing to do with that ball in that situation, right?
Um, do we
I have
expect
2 points. I have
Tierney?
2 points, please.
Mhm.
Just before I left, I heard you mention Man City and Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
When I gave my big soliloquy about how people need to understand what we've done, we've been at the top since day one. I should have also mentioned as well. Not only have we achieved all of that, we're doing that in an era where the best team in England, maybe the world or Europe, is in a situation where allegedly they're playing with a stacked deck. They're being, allegations are that they're playing with a stacked deck. What that means is that they've been using money that they should never have been able to use to buy players that shouldn't be in that team. That's an advantage
Yeah.
if it turns out to be true. And we've also been, we're at the top of the league and fighting that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to add that into the equation of what we've achieved. We're fighting against a team that's playing with allegedly a stat deck.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The other,
and it won't matter if we don't win because then it'll just be like whatever. It didn't really,
we'll get
it
this.
won't
No.
matter.
If you finish second, I'm going to put it on the table now. In about 4 years' time, we'll get this. We'll get this title
Yeah, I
back.
don't.
It's in
Nobody
the.
wants
It's
to,
No.
Yeah, but then
I
I
joke.
you don't
I
get to
joke, but you
enjoy
know
it. I
what I
don't
mean.
like that situation. I want to enjoy it today, right?
I've
The,
heard
the,
people.
the other
I've
point
heard.
was
Mm,
Kieran Tierney, and as I love Kieran Tierney because I have a Scottish background, as you know, and he's a Scottish man, and I love having a Scottish man in the team. However, and as good as a footballer he is, as I mentioned earlier, if you're the manager and you have the board of your 11 positions and you can't put his name on the board because he's not available to you, it doesn't matter. and he had an opportunity to play today. I'm not blaming him for being ill, but it's just misfortune after another. He's either injured, he's not injured, then he's got like a, a bad tummy or whatever. If you can't rely on the player, no matter how much you're attached to him, you have to look at it as an upgrade. Can I upgrade on this player? Can I get rid of this player and have another player that is available? No matter how much I love Kieran. And that's how sometimes you have to detach yourself. And I think that maybe we're at a stage where it might be better for both parties if Kieran Tierney does move and try to kickstart his career somewhere else. Because when the window does come up for him to put himself in the manager's mind, he's not available for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And then what do? You're in a situation where Zinchenko's fucked. I can't pick Tierney. What am I going to do now? Put Xhaka at left back? Put such and such, do this, we're now putting square pegs into round holes, and then that could lead to a problem. We can't afford to do that.
I hear people say all the time, Zinchenko is more of a midfielder, right? Probably could play in that Xhaka role, but we don't do that because the way he's positioned on the pitch when the ball is when we're on the attack. Why don't you just play him midfield then, right? He's really good there. And then
because he gives us an extra man. He gives us an extra man in midfield.
But he's a defensive liability. So then
Yeah.
you
my answer to
take
that
one
is
with the
what?
other. So that's
I've got an
why
answer.
some people say you put Tierney in there and you put Zinchenko in the midfield.
Yeah, but
and then
my answer to that is it's exactly the same answer to when it used to be, we're light in midfield, and someone would say Chambers can play there. He played a whole season there for Fulham. Or we're light in the midfield. David Luiz can play there. He's played there for Chelsea. Ben White can play there. He played that. It never. When does it ever happen? When have you ever seen the manager do that? And I just think that's not on his agenda. That's never going to happen. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. They can probably do that.
Xhaka out of there, and that's the part that doesn't make any sense. You've got better
you think
players out there.
Xhaka is the linchpin?
Xhaka's got weight. Xhaka's got the personality side. He, when Odegaard was initially given the armband, I actually think that Xhaka was helping him along. There was transition going on.
No, you definitely saw that because he was the one that was the more vocal one in the beginning of the season, and then eventually, as you say, he got more comfortable in the role and he took it on.
Is our new senior, what do you call him? Elder statesman. He's our Santi Cazorla. He's our Arteta when we got Arteta. When we got Arteta, he wasn't in his spring days. He is that sort of figure. And even by starting him in games and trying to settle the game down, and then you're seeing what's happening, he's taking him out and he's putting in the heir apparent, which will be Vieira eventually. Yeah. That's what's happening.
I just think the thing with Zinchenko playing at left back, he allows us to progress the ball forward.
Yeah, but all those skills you're talking about aren't really all what
I don't see it happening.
Sometimes you say what a left back is for, right? A left back is supposed to be part of your defense, and then we're saying you're a defensive liability.
That's the old way.
Let me ask you a question. Right? Zinchenko, what is his best position? Do you think that he is a left back defender or is he a midfielder? You've got to choose one. Which is it?
He's a midfielder. Everything you're talking about is a midfielder.
He is more comfortable in midfield.
So why is he playing in defense?
Because when we have the ball, he can go into midfield and it's free at the back.
But he's not helping you on defense. So what's the difference? What do you
think about that today?
Here's the difference. We've won 20 games. Not just because of him, but because of the way we play. We play progressively. We don't play to draw games. We play to win games. That's what I really feel.
So you're saying there's no way we can't improve from where we are?
Here's what I'm trying. I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate, but this is what I'm trying to get to, right? I can appreciate that the game does change. False nines. And I come from an era. Even on FIFA, my formation is 4-4-2 with a diamond with wingers. I'm a winger too. That's me, right? Two strikers, sort of like that. I get that the game changes and I understand that. False nines and all of that. Now it's inverted fullbacks. And I have seen in certain instances where it's really helped. You're like, fucking hell, we've almost got like a bit of an overflood going now in the midfield.
Yeah.
But as the Assemble said, my argument to the Zinnia
Overload.
LB is, but Bournemouth first. There are these times where I'm having a heart attack because I see this big hole happening,
Yes.
and I'm a little bit like, and it might be my age. Sometimes I'm like, well, I want my defenders to defend first. Oh, he's a great wing back, whether you're talking about Kyle, great wing. Oh, Alex Trent-Arnold, great wing back, putting the crosses in. I'm like, that's really good and everything. But I want him to be able to tackle the ball as well. I want him to defend
But
first. If you can do all of that while you're defending, that's a bonus. But if you can only do the forward stuff and the defending bit is weak and you're a defender, to me, that's a hindrance.
even though in the long term, Stan, that will gain you more points throughout the season. You have to think about it. The
But if
good
you
outweighing the
here
bad.
you go, you put Zinchenko in the midfield. You take Xhaka out. You think we're worse off there?
No, we're better off.
And who's at left back?
But
And you couldn't put
you
Tierney
can
in
have Granit
on the
Xhaka
left
in
back.
Here's my
midfield
counter to
and
that then, right?
Zinchenko.
One, because now what you've done is you've taken out Xhaka, you've put in Zinchenko, Tierney at left back. But remember, when Zinchenko is playing at left back, the reason that everybody likes that is because he's coming into midfield. Now you've lost that because Tierney's not going to give you that. He's going to come on the outside. So how about taking out Xhaka and swapping that with Teabag, keeping Zinchenko at left back, and then if he's got the nous, he can come in and help. Now you haven't lost what you said was so good. I'm not saying that's what I like, but I'm just saying everyone's saying, "Oh, so good to Zinchenko playing at left back and coming into that midfield area."
Maybe you don't need
If you
to
do
do
what you
that.
say,
But
Gary, we've lost
no,
that.
no, but
We've lost that.
maybe
We don't have a left
the
back doing that now.
no,
So we've
I
lost.
get that, but
We've lost that strength. So why not put Teabag in to fill that hole? Who is
who's to say
better?
you have to do that
He's
though?
Teabag going forward is better than Xhaka. Example, when Xhaka ran into the box in that Bournemouth, was it the Bournemouth game? And he didn't know whether to shoot, assist, and the ball got taken.
Yep.
In a situation like that, Teabag's better because he's more attacking minded.
Yeah,
He
that
may
was
he may not be better.
against City.
He may not be better in the defensive part of the game.
Mhm.
He may not be
I
better than
I
Xhaka.
hear you guys talking about Xhaka doing
But
the defensive work. I
but
don't see it, and I don't want to see it. So for me, I'm comfortable him not like. That's why I'm okay with Fabio Vieira taking
good.
Xhaka's spot
So
because
then let's put him in
I
for
don't
let's
want
put him
Xhaka
in for
defending
Xhaka
for us.
and keep Zinchenko then at left back,
Yeah.
doing what you're saying, because everyone's saying that him coming into midfield. Otherwise, you're negating it by putting him into Xhaka's role. Now we don't have a left back doing that. We've lost that weakness. I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm just putting that out
No,
there.
I mean, it sounds like it sounds almost like a wash, and I want to take the advantage, put the advantage on our side because you're saying he's a defensive liability, but he also gives us goals. Well, I think at some point you want to have the advantage on your side, not like a wash, right? Because as you just said in the Bournemouth game, he might have helped us score goals late in that game, but he's might have been the cause for getting the goals anyway. So then, at some point,
Zinchenko.
you want to take the advantage on put it on your side.
I think that if I was making the call with that area, I would take swap out Xhaka at times for Teabag because I like what he does going forward with assisting and taking shots in his decision making.
Yeah.
And at the left back position, I'm not saying that I have the skill to do it, but as a football manager, I would use Zinchenko or Tierney, depending on maybe how the game is going or how I think it's going to start. So I would maybe start with Zinchenko, thinking, okay, against this team, I'm going to start with Zinchenko because I want him to come into the midfield and help out as well to overload. But I've got Tierney on the bench.
Yeah.
And then if the game's not working out that way, I can say, right, now I'm going to take, no, this is not working. I'm going to put Tierney on and use more. Just something I'm getting at. But I would not start with Zinchenko into that Xhaka role because now I've lost that flexibility to do the other stuff. I think Vieira would be much better.
Maybe you don't need that flexibility because you're stronger in the midfield.
Okay,
What
variety.
like right now we're saying that we're weaker in the midfield because we have a Xhaka there. But if I said you replace that with a Zinchenko, now you're stronger in the midfield. Maybe you don't need to maybe your formation doesn't have to be as it is today because you're much stronger in the
But
midfield.
now you've
You
not
have
got a
more
left
control.
back that's going to come into the. You've lost that. Now
But
you've got a left back
you
that
don't
maybe
do you need
coming
that now?
more. It depends on your position, right?
You might not need that when you're much stronger in the midfield.
Okay, out of Vieira and Zinchenko, which one do you think would provide more assists and goals out of the two of them?
Where playing left 8?
Yeah, in Xhaka's role.
I think
Zinchenko.
there are going to be more than Xhaka is what
What
I
would
think.
score more
Pick
goals
one.
and assists than Vieira?
Yeah.
What,
Wait. What did
Zinchenko
you
has only
say?
scored one goal in the Premier League in his career.
Well, he hasn't been playing left 8 in his whole career.
All right, okay, I've got no argument then, because if you think that Zinchenko playing in that left 8 would score more and assist more than
He's got
Teabag,
more. He's got more about
I
him
can't
than.
argue because I would disagree. I would say
He's
if I
got,
said to you which one of those two is more defensive, I would say Xhaka.
we're talking about left 8
Yeah, if the role that
for
Xhaka's playing
assists,
now in the team,
for
yeah,
goals and assists.
yeah.
Which one is
If you took
more
out
likely?
Xhaka and you put in Zinchenko or Teabag, which one would give you more goals or assists? Do
Which
you
one
think?
was more lively on the ball for you, Stan?
Personally, I would think it would be Vieira. But if the question was take out Xhaka and that was Zinchenko and Vieira, which one's going to be more defensively minded? I would say Xhaka. But goals and assists, I would say Vieira. But if you disagree with that, then okay, fair enough. That's that.
As Steven says there, I don't know
And that's what I want from
why
that
we keep
position.
bringing up defense in Xhaka because I don't want him to play defense for us. I don't understand why we keep bringing it up. That's like the worst trait in his he's got a toolbox, right? A lot of skills and stuff in there. The defensive one, I don't want him to pull it out at all. Keep it in there, lock it. I don't want to see it. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you
So then,
say,
okay.
it's not good.
So
It's
then,
just the worst trait he
so what
has
is
right
Xhaka then?
now.
So okay, this is a good conversation because we're having this conversation, right? And I'm saying like we're taking out Xhaka, which I think the left 8 is more to provide stuff than be on the defensive mind. Mine is right.
Yes.
And so we're talking about taking out Xhaka, and I'm talking about putting in Vieira. And I'm saying, well, if you do want a more defensive-minded person, Xhaka. And then Gary's like, I don't like him defending. So then what is Xhaka's role? If he's shit at providing goals and assists and he's no good at defending,
He is
are
just
we saying then that
he's
he's a transitional player
he
that's in
is you know
between the
what?
two?
He is getting smothered in there by all the good quality players we have around him. We don't miss him. If you take him out, I don't think you see anything different in the way that we play. I think
What, Xhaka?
yes, I think he's
That's
in
interesting, Gary, because I would say
Jacques is in the
let me
middle of
hold
like
that thought for 1 second. That's such a great point because I would have said maybe 3 or 4 months ago, the way that we were talking or people were talking about Xhaka being, when he got moved forward was that was like one of the first names on the team sheet. But now, where we are here, you're saying if we took him out, you don't think we miss him, and I think that's interesting. And I think that's bold. And I'll agree with you to a certain extent.
I think he's
So what is he bringing us then? What is he bringing us?
I don't know what he gives us in these games now that I can sit there and tell you, you know what?
The chat box as well. Let me ask everybody. I'm not picking on him. Here is a good question.
I think.
What do you think that Granit Xhaka is bringing Arsenal team right now? What do you think it is?
I think
anyone put it out there.
he urges. You see it in the dressing room. He urges the players on.
So he communicates. He's a good coach. He can do that from the bench.
Yeah, but on the field, he's urging players forward. We don't hear it, maybe, but maybe he's a part of these comebacks. Maybe.
Like I said, talent-wise.
So are you saying then that because he's playing at that left 8, are you saying that we're negating certain attributes that position should have?
Yes.
Like breaking the lines,
yes,
assisting more and scoring.
We know he's not,
because our team is so young in certain areas. He's a mature head, and that's a sacrifice that we are making for a bit of maturity in a young team. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we have finally found a position where Granit Xhaka can flourish.
He's a really glorified cheerleader in the middle of the pitch.
Not be a liability.
And caveat that with, we've also discovered through the manager that playing in that left 8 is less damaging than when he was
Yes,
playing in a deeper
we
pivot.
can
Okay.
all agree on that. We can all agree on that.
Like I said,
Yes.
I would like to see Vieira or Trossard or Zinchenko play in that position with
Okay.
our strongest 11.
Motivation by using himself as an example of what they shouldn't be doing.
Okay.
That was back in the day. He does a little bit better now, but
But you see where I'm coming from
A
with the
little bit
question?
disingenuous.
I don't I think we need like you said,
He
Vieira's
is the
getting more
third.
opportunities here, and he needs like Trossard and Vieira are more offensive minded than he is. They're better talented than he is, but as you say, they obviously don't have the leadership that we need in that middle, and that's what Erdegaard is supposed to do. So if you're saying that Jacques is still doing that now, Ray, then Erdegaard is not doing his job, right? Because that's part of his job is to also get the team to move forward.
So
Yeah, but
Gary,
it's in a
when
different
Gary
part of
said
the
like,
field.
I like Gary when you said like, I don't think we miss him now when we take him out. So what is it that we're not missing from that position? So would you play Trossard in there? Because I think that I find if you're looking at our team on a board and you
Yeah.
take out Xhaka and you think, well, who could we put in there? I think there's a lot of candidates. I think T-Bag can play there. I think ESR could play there,
Yeah, yeah.
and maybe Trossard could play there.
I think Saka could play there. Saka could play in multiple positions on the pitch, and he could do what does Xhaka do that Saka couldn't do?
He's more mobile.
I mean,
He's sturdy. He can take a tackle.
so like I said, I
Break
think he could play in that
lines.
position. The only thing you're talking about
He
is
can
some vocal.
score.
You're talking about his vocal skills are better than
Mhm.
everybody else's supposedly at that point. I don't know about that, but I kind of feel like I feel
So
right now
Xhaka
we're
only plays because we lack maturity.
yeah.
Look,
I just
he's got a certain level of skill that he can.
So if
no,
Gabriel
but
Jesus was fit,
his skill is the worst of all of our
A
attackers.
so
certain level.
so
No,
if
no,
Jesus
his
was
skill
fit,
is worse than all of
He's
our
limited.
attackers.
Yes,
so
he's
if
limited.
Jesus was fit right now,
Yes.
then and he's obviously we consider him a mature head. He's won titles, come from Man City.
Yeah.
Maybe Xhaka would have even a smaller role because he's a mature head.
Yeah,
But right now
we
we've
saw
lost
that
that mature head. So Xhaka
we
has
saw that
to.
from Jesus when he first arrived, right?
Interesting
He's vocal.
conversation.
He's just as vocal as Xhaka is, in terms of getting the players up and moving them around. He's our
Um,
fortress. He
listen,
keeps getting lower on the table.
Granit Xhaka. I don't recognize Granit Xhaka this season from previous seasons. We can all
Yeah.
accept that, right? He's a different player. He
Yeah.
seems to
In a
be.
good way.
Do
You're saying
you
in a good
okay?
way.
We've won a lot of games.
The referees don't seem to book him
does he
for
stand
similar.
out? Does he stand out in the games?
No,
He
So
has sometimes this season, hasn't he? I've seen,
no, but I
there
think
was
he needs
he
to
has
be
some
able to
plaudits,
stand out
hasn't
in
he?
some of
Some
these
good
games,
goals,
right?
some good
We've
assists.
we've
yeah,
had
I
some
agree with you,
really
Stan.
He's had some moments.
He's done as much as Teabag in terms. If you
he
think of the
doesn't they
He's
moments
had
haven't
some
he's
good
played.
had,
It's not even
moments.
a good
yeah.
comparison. They haven't
And
played
I've
it
been one of his
same
biggest
enough
critics. He has
times.
some good moments.
Well, Gary,
I don't think you can compare him to Vieira because they haven't had enough time to play. Like the first time I saw Vieira play and he volleyed that ball out of the air, I was like, all right, we're not getting that from Xhaka,
no, you
right?
get different things from
That's the
different
first
people.
thing he did. That's like the first time I saw Tierney play left back for us. I'm like, well, damn, that's what we're missing. That's
We
at that point, that's what we're missing, and
we
that's what I'm
have
seeing.
we have Tony here to do Tony things, but Gary's not going to do Tony things, right? It's the different skill set. You know what I mean?
No, but I'm
That
better than
analogy.
Tony, so that's the difference, right? When you're better than someone, then you go for the better one, right? Just because they do different things doesn't mean that you stick with the worser of the two,
No, but
right?
you get different things from different players. Now, Granit Xhaka has been with Arsenal for many, many years, but
Yeah.
this is a
No, no, I
new.
understand why we're keeping him around and stuff like that, but the team is evolving. We're getting much better at whatever
Yes,
Arteta's asking.
yeah.
He doesn't need to do as much. He doesn't need to be as vocal as he has in the past because the team knows where to go now.
He's
They
coming to
do,
the end of his time with
yeah.
Arsenal.
So I think the blueprint is out there. He knows 'cause, like right now, he knows if I get a better one of these and I plug it here, we're going to be much better, right?
Steven said, I think we need to sell Xhaka this summer. His stock will never be higher.
If you win the Premier League with Xhaka, you sell him.
Yeah, but now Xhaka, not that Xhaka gets to decide, right, Gary? But he's going to see a Champions League campaign next season.
If
You
you
know,
we let Leno go because we knew he wasn't. We were happy to let Leno go because we knew Ramsdale fit the mold, right? Nobody else saw it except for Arteta. What's the difference with it? There is a player out there that can fit in a position of Xhaka and put him to the bench,
mm,
right? If we bring in Declan Rice, what does he do? Does he sit behind Partey or does he play?
well, he plays, right?
So then who sits?
Xhaka, maybe Jorginho, who knows?
Jorginho doesn't compete for a starting position right now.
No, no. Stan or chat room, what did Gilberto do for Arsenal's midfield? Because from he left, something went missing. That from the time he left, something was missing. Up to this day, Arsenal have lacked. So Gilberto was that defensive midfielder.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting conversation.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely, we can agree. The further away from goal Granit Xhaka is, the better for the team, better
yeah,
for him.
yeah,
We can agree he's got a limited skill set. He's not as skillful as a Fabio Vieira
yeah,
or Emil Smith Rowe in that position, or even Trossard.
yeah,
But I still come back to he gives the team something. Now, whether that's kind of a heartbeat in the dressing room, dare I say it, a leader in the dressing room,
hmm,
he's given us something, and we don't know how long it's going to last for. Because I think Stan has been foreshadowing Fabio Vieira having a more enlarged role this latter part of the season, and maybe coming into next season as well, where Granit Xhaka will have to decide whether he wants a new challenge to move on, or if indeed he's going to have a reduced involvement in the team next season. You know,
Well,
but
you say that, but that should be Arteta's decision and not Jacques'
there
decision.
has been some. If I'm gonna, I've given Arteta a lot of flowers tonight, but there are some things that are nagging with me about Arteta. Is that he tends to hold on to these players too long, the ones that he really, really likes. You know,
Yeah,
Hector Bellerin was one of them in the last few years.
yeah.
Eddie and Ketty has been a project, an Arteta project with mixed degrees of success.
I
And
don't. He's giving Arteta what he needs. I just think he likes the player. We've been able to. He's given us. I think he's played enough games that he's been able to produce some numbers, but he doesn't. He isn't the number two to Jesus when to be able to give a certain
yeah,
thing that I think he
yeah.
like. If you can look at a Trossard and say he's a good replacement, and a Jorginho and say he's a good replacement for a starter, then we don't do that right now with Jesus. We don't have that player behind Jesus if it's Nketiah,
We
right?
are,
Like
yeah.
right now, if Jesus comes back, wouldn't it be Trossard coming in for Jesus in in most scenarios?
Maybe there is a defined role as a striker
No,
that
but like, who would you rather have come on?
me, Trossard. Yeah.
Dennis.
He
Dennis.
doesn't play
Yeah.
anymore.
We're
Oh.
gonna stick around. We're gonna stick around for a moment or two.
Can I answer that question from the
We'll wind it
assembled,
up
please?
soon, though. Yeah, we're gonna wind it up soon. Gilberto question, is it?
Yeah, I would say that to answer that question about Gilberto is because we were lucky at that time, right? Because we also had Vieira that was really our main defensive kind of midfielder, even though he's box to box. But we were fortunate that we had Gilberto, who was quite defensive. And when we lost Vieira, we had Gilberto. And you're
Mhm.
right. It says, why does it feel that he went missing up until this day? And I think probably since we sold Gilberto, the closest we've come now to
I know who you're gonna say.
replacing that is Thomas Partey.
Or Alex Song.
Because we're now in a position. No, Thomas Partey. We're now in a position where we have a player where we can play with a single pivot. We don't have to have another one next to him when he plays. The players can move in position to help him. And I think it's one of the things that's hurt us since if we'd managed to like replace Gilberto sooner, we may have had better fortunes, I believe.
Yeah.
But Wenger
Okay.
went into that thing where he would play too many number 10s. A 10 in the middle, a 10 on the right, a 10 on the left. You're like, it's too many 10s. There's 10s everywhere.
Enjoying the conversation, but we are going to be hitting 3 hours, and you two will probably want to go soon. Question, Stan, and then I'll go to Gary. Do you think, hand on heart, that Granit Xhaka will be here next season?
Yes.
Not your preference, but what you see from Arteta and Xhaka.
I'm not saying that he may have the same role and be a starter in every match, but I think he will still be at Arsenal.
I think so too, Gary. The allure of Champions League, and maybe there's another year or two left in him. Arteta, this is maybe a problem in Arteta's management style, that he clings on to certain players too long. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah. No, I mean, and if he stays, then he needs to be able to take a step back.
Yeah.
And if he's not willing to do that, then he's not gonna be essentially he's not gonna be a team player if he doesn't feel like he can take a step back and be productive. You know what I mean?
Here's another way of looking at it, right? Would you rather move on El Neni and then Xhaka moves into the El Neni role and there's other people ahead of him? Do you know what I'm getting at? You know, it's different. I'm not saying if he's going to be here next season, I don't mind if he's gone down in the pecking order as much. He's not the first go-to or the second go-to, but he's around because he does bring something. He's not a terrible player.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got two midfielders that are out for a double injury and blah blah blah, would you like to bring in Xhaka or El Neni, for example? You know, and is Xhaka going to be happy to have that role?
Well, that is the question there. I don't believe he will be.
You're shaking your head, Gary. Was that because El Neni's staying, or
Xhaka's we're going to hold here's what I think will happen anyway. So maybe it will come about anyways. I don't think we'll keep holding on to El Neni because he's part of our future even next year. I think we're just holding on to him because, you know, as they say, we're a classy institution and we don't just leave our players out on the lurch.
Have you noticed? And then he's injured in that, and he seems to pop up at the end of every game, clapping every player off.
El Neni, yeah.
He's like, fucking gotta earn that check, man.
At some point,
gotta make sure I'm doing something, right?
At some point, Gary, we've all said it at some point that it is a business and we have to move on and we have to be ruthless.
He's doing that at away games. Apparently, he just drives up on his own, turns up at away games, claps the players off, and then drives. It's not even on the coach. Like, you don't have to come. He's like, no. I'm part of shit. But in fair play, though, I do like to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at? That's what I want to see. So if Xhaka wants to take up a role similar to that, be called upon, you know, when needed, doing his coaching badges and be around the club next season, I wouldn't say no to that.
If we win the league, if we win a trophy this season, and you can look at El Neni and have a story about El Neni, and look at Granit Xhaka and have a Granit Xhaka, probably the most up and down story you'll ever have with Granit Xhaka at the club, and to be close to finishing his career, winning something of real value to the club, that would be something. Isam said, without a doubt, Xhaka will be doing his coaching badges. We could use the Xhaka money and put it towards a second striker or a younger replacement for Partey. Yeah, listen, there's lots of
money. We've got all that Mudryk money still fucking floating about, right? We had like loads of money. We're sweet. Don't worry about that.
There's lots of ways.
I'm not forgotten. The Conkies might have. I'm like, hold on. No.
There's lots of ways. This squad can evolve in lots of ways. But we'll see what happens. It's come a long way since Mustafi and Socrates days, you know. 2-2. So the roundup anyway. Is there any other points we want to talk about? We get out of here. Roundup.
No.
Done. Finished. It was a good discussion in midfield there with Zinchenko and Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Kieran Tierney. I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll talk about Kieran Tierney and his
No, I
future.
mean, what as soon as you hear the talk of Declan Rice and all these other things, they want to spend some money. So, and
It does feel like Mikel Arteta's had this big bag of cash, and he's just like aching to spend a big lump. And every time I try to spend a big lump, there's been a problem, and he's had to go, all right, 12 million for Jorginho, 10 million there for Willian.
Yeah, happy
Secretly,
accident.
he's like, I got all this. I want to, you know what I mean? I want to buy a Ferrari. I want a Bentley. I want a Bugatti Veyron. I've got the cash, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Do you know what I'm getting at? Trossard, good money. 20, they're good, reasonable money.
I'm just happy. It seems like
very well, but the good thing is we've brought some good players in. We haven't like spunked all of our cash, but it's obvious that there's still cash there. There is something tucked away for a rainy day.
we have
Really?
we have assembled a squad for the last 2 or 3 years now. Spent a lot of money. Hopefully that continues because we need to go beyond. We need to maybe hopefully win a Premier League, do well in Europe, get into the Champions League. There's lots to do in the next few years, and we have a window.
Do you know how much extra? If you think of the money that we've obviously got, there's obviously money there, man. The money is there. We all know it. If we win the league, there's even more money.
Remember Bergkamp?
You know what I mean?
That's why I always. That's why I always say.
Remember Breaking Bad when that guy, what was his name? Huel. That scene of him lying on all that money, just lying on that big black guy was lying on it. That's Arsenal right now.
Yeah.
That's us. We have got money to burn.
Gary?
No, I was just. I think I lost my train of thought there. But, yeah.
Remember, Bergkamp was doing his coaching badges in the last days at Arsenal. His experiences at top level, which is invaluable to the youngsters to tap into. Yeah, you can't. You pay for the transfer fee of a player like Dennis Bergkamp, and you also get a lot of experience that can be imparted onto the player. So, anyway, Stan, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. We're still in this.
We're still in this.
You know,
we're still fighting for this league.
we're
I'll
still
tell you what.
in this league. It's brilliant. What a time to be alive as an Arsenal fan. Every game is. Every time we say the next game, what do you think about the next game? The next game's so important. We said that about the last game and the one before that and the one before that. But that's where we are, and it's great because now it's Fulham. At Fulham, a team that's a jack in the box. They can get spanked one day. They can have their tails between their legs one day. The next day, they can humble a big head, and that's where we are. Do you know what I mean? So
Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Patrick Vieira and Crystal Palace will have an impact in the next 2 weekends.
We can't keep bringing it. We can't making it seem like everybody has it. No, we're not sitting at the top of the league for as long as we have because these teams have so much they might be able to get from us. No, we just need to continue to play our football. Continue to play our football. Continue to play our football, and we'll be fine.
I hear that.
Because there's nobody, right? And we'll find out if Liverpool and City are those somebodies that might have a say in what we do. But if we play our football, I think we'll be okay. If we play like we did today, we're going to have struggles in the Premier League, right? If we play the way we played against City, that's not a normal a style of play that we play, right? That's not how we usually play. When we played at home against City, that wasn't good from us. Our performance was bad there, and we paid for it, right? We weren't clinical on our end. They were clinical on their end, and we were sloppy as well, and they got goals from it. So if we play our style, I think we'll be fine. We just, like I said, for me, performance and form go hand in hand. And as long as we continue to play that way, we'll be good.
Yeah. Tonight we had Kiwior, Jorginho, and Vieira. I think on Sunday we'll have Gabriel Magalhaes, Thomas Partey, and Martin Odegaard. The three players we were fighting about earlier in terms of who's been the best signing. And hope we'll be better for it with those three players in that team from tonight. Okay. Very, very good conversation. Gary, Stan, thank you.
Yep.
and everyone in the chat box, everybody in the room. Long one tonight, but thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back on Sunday. City play first. Who's going to blink first? City play away to Palace, and we go to Fulham. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we should have won 3 points. That's all I want. Just 3 points.
All right.
Just one. I just want us to win one game. The next one.
Right. And Gary will be Saturday.
You know what? I have some family things, so I actually will not be live this weekend. So.
All right. Maybe come see us back here on Sunday then. Okay. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Stan, Gary, and special mention to Dennis, the Iceman, Bergkamp. We're out of here.
Dennis says good night.